champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship, what a season. Absolutely phenomenal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to WOR World Online Racing. Back on your screens here on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. It's a pleasure to be with you all once again in the live chat. It is the last chance to dance. The final race in the calendar of Season 11 here at World Online Racing. And I'm ashamed to say it's my last one as well. But I'm not alone for this final show. I am joined by the Scottish Dynamo, Ginger Andy. Andy, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, George, very well. Looking forward to the Brazilian Grand Prix, the final race of the season. A fantastic Grand Prix, a fantastic circuit, and I'm sure the drivers will put on a fine show. We've got a really stacked grid tonight as well, with the esports finishing during the week, so a lot of drivers, returning to the league racing scene just in time for your final race, George. And hopefully it'll be a cracker for you. But I'm sorry, George, I'm still not letting you off the hook. It might be your last race, but Newport County did appear to lose 3-0 at the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, we just took a break, Christmas holidays and all that, don't want to be performing at your very best just before Christmas and you've had a bit of roast turkey, but I'm sure we'll be back fighting on Boxing Day, to say the least, never you mind. But Kilmarnock have sacked the managers. Let's not go there, shall we, on this basis, so we won't go any further on the football in matters. But looking ahead, we have got a huge race here tonight, lots of big names. F1 Esports has just finished, coming off the back of a very dramatic final race at the Brazil circuit, and I have to say, got to take a good glowing look at Red Bull. Marcel Kiefer pulling off an incredible Sergio Perez type performance, Andy.
Yeah, he thinks he's Sergio Perez. What happens in esports happens in real life. It's crazy, isn't it?
It does.
Absolutely incredible from him. And well done, of course, to Jarno Opmeer on the championship. 2 titles now in a row. Only Brendan Lee's done that as well. So that's now both of them have managed to defend a title. So 2 in a row. Fair play to him. And I think he's proved, George, that, they're so close, so many fine margins, but he's just that little bit smarter, that little bit wiser than some of the others out there. He can get things spot on, make the right decisions at the right time, and a deserving champion for the second year in a row. And it's hard to see who's going to stop him, George, because it's incredible how he does it. It's just churning out result after result after result under so much pressure from so many top drivers, and he keeps delivering. It's incredible.
The most complete driver, I would argue, in F1 Esports to this day, is able to lead from the front, but also utilise an alternate strategy as well, which featured, very much in his title campaign this year. I think we saw a very different side to Jarno Opmeer this year as opposed to last year. Last year, he dominated the field. I mean, dominated, led from the front. He did not seem to be phased at all. His pace was on top. This year, very, very different. Starting a lot of the occasions in the top 10, but to be honest with you, lower top 10, and sometimes not even getting into Q3, but still managing to pull off a sensational, whether it be overcut or undercut, like to go long on the first strategy and use that to get ahead of many of his foes and opponents, and yet again managed to pull off a truly dramatic title win. But you got to give credit as well to the Red Bull team. They really took it all the way. Freddie Rasmussen pulling off an epic display at a Brazilian circuit which he doesn't favour, and at the same time Marcel Kiefer with that incredible performance, but just not quite enough to beat off the Mercedes team, Andy.
Yeah, and you can't really afford to have too many bad races. And if I remember rightly, I think Freddie Rasmussen didn't really have the ideal start to the season. And maybe if he did have a better start, he might have found himself right in there fighting for that championship right to the very end. I know he was anyway, but it could have been even closer. And he might even have been able to tip the balance in his favour. But, it wasn't to be. And I was listening after the race to, Jarno chatting to Tom Deacon, and he even said himself he didn't actually think he had the outright pace on everybody this season. You know, you said yourself, George, how he dominated the field last season, and he didn't quite have the outright speed on maybe some of the drivers. He openly admitted that. So, you know, it just goes to show. But as you say, George, he's the all-round package, the all-round driver, the most complete. He's got this, he's got pace, he's got consistency, and he can just play the tactics spot on. I mean, you look at what Nicholas did in USA. Didn't work out for him when he tried to slow down for the DRS. Jarno did it to Freddie in Mexico, and it worked. It just shows you, it's just those fine margins, those little turns and little tricks that Jarno Opmeer can deliver on and get right, and that proved to be the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got to say that's the first time we've seen that adopted in league racing and esports this season in this new game, and I'm not sure whether it's something that has just been discovered or whether it's something that this game had over the previous one. I'm not entirely sure, but we've seen it a couple of times, and we saw it in real life F1 as well. I think when you look at the race that we had at Jeddah, of course, them squabbling over the DRS line between Max and Lewis. None of them wanted to lead at that point before the DRS activation point. So it was really interesting to watch the esports drivers bring that same strategic mindset into an esports race. It was incredible, really. But we've seen it quite a few times now in league racing as well. Some drivers will pull back from making a move and wait till the opportune moment, whether it be down a DRS straight, so they can take the advantage of it and lead from the front. And it's great that we see these little crossovers, these little Easter eggs appear in league racing as well. I mean, just to give you guys a rundown of what's happened in this series, so should we say, Jake Benham has obviously been crowned champion here at WOR. Jarno Opmeer currently sitting in P2 after a scintillating race last time at Saudi Arabia. Action-packed. If you haven't seen it yet, please make sure you do so later on as well. But that managed to get him his 4th podium this season and his 3rd win this season as well. What a record in only 5 starts in WOR, each race being a points-paying position. What a performance from the newly crowned, once again, F1 Esports World Champion. John Evans in 3rd place, not racing tonight, so his spot is under threat because he will have Simon Perigny chasing for that 3rd place spot. Can Simon do it? He's a very feisty character, good driver on his day, so you would be backing him all the way to try and, well, certainly get that P3 chance. Now, we've got to talk about the constructors, Andy, because that is up for grabs. Mercedes and McLaren, 8 points the difference coming into this one. Both Jake Benham and Jarno Opmeer featuring tonight, but McLaren also featuring a very hench grid, including the Welshman, the man from Ronda, the Ronda Rumbler. It is Josh Idowu. He's here tonight at Brazil.
Yeah, it's good to see Josh Idowu back, and he's another driver, George. When you look back to the F1 Esports season, so many times in the top 10. I think it was only once he missed out in the top 10 in qualifying. Really quick driver, and he'll be looking to show what he can do back on the league racing scene again. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun commentating on some of Josh's racing, like against Joe Hannon back in the days and Cedric back on the Xbox. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him back in action tonight. Top driver, George, and here we're looking to deliver the goods for McLaren because yeah, he's very, very quick, and we've seen that in F1 Esports consistently in that top 10 in qualifying.
Yeah, we certainly have. And obviously coming off the back of an upset himself, very nearly clinching the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in F1 Esports. Unfortunately, coming a cropper after some incidents further up the field. I believe he was in the midst of a fight with the Mercedes team, only then to lose to Tamburello and find himself into, well, very nearly the barrier, just spinning off the track essentially. Had to come back on, lost a lot of positions. You could just hear in his voice as well on that team radio about how disappointed he really was. We obviously did hear from Josh in Twitter Spaces the other night as well, and he was gutted. He came out and said, I was absolutely gutted with what happened at Imola, and I'm sure he was looking to fight back. But he's been incredible for McLaren, though. On his first time in F1 Esports, has certainly shown that he can get the points when needed. So maybe a learning curve from Josh Idowu there, Andy.
Yeah, perhaps a bit of a learning curve. You know, it takes time, George. You know, you can't come in right away and expect to be absolutely flying in on it. You know, but if he's showing he's got that pace in qualifying trim, then, you know, it will come for him in the races, and he will be able to, you know, fight even higher up at the front week in, week out. So no, he's a top driver, no doubt about it. And yeah, you know, he's coming along nicely. So I think maybe next season in the world of F1 esports could be his year. I think maybe not his year to win it, but certainly the year he comes of age and really fights consistently up near the front of the order, George. So certainly one to look out for. He's been waiting in the wings for a long time to really show what he can do and deliver, and finally I think we're starting to see that on the esports stage, which is really good.
It certainly is. We're going to be heading over to the Interlagos circuit now, of course, folks. The Autodromo Carlos Pace, of course, the famous track that is synonymous with Formula One in so many ways. We can look back to the Is That Glock moment, of course, and in fact many others that have sort of sprung to mind. I think obviously the most recent memory we have is Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton heading around turn 4, which was a very interesting moment to say the least, wasn't it, Andy?
Well, let's not get into opinions on that, otherwise we'll get cancelled, George. So much fire and fury on Twitter over the Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton situations in recent races. But yeah, even the stewards can't even make their mind up whether what happened there was correct or not. But yeah, I mean, it's a great track, George, and that fight down into Desiro del Lago, turn 4 and 5, that'll be one of the best overtaking opportunities on the racetrack, along with the Senna S down into turns 1 and 2 as you make your way up the hill from Junsao through 13, 14, 15, all flat out and into that Senna S. So yeah, fantastic circuit, George. Old school, one of the old tracks on the calendar that we really enjoy. And yeah, looking forward to it, George. You know, you've got the high-speed first sector, you've got that really tight, twisty middle part of the lap. You need to be really accurate and quick on traction, and then that final sector flat out once again. So a circuit I really enjoy, George. One of the shortest on the Formula One calendar, right up there with Austria in terms of lap time. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting and a fast-paced race. And I'm sure we're going to have the field ever so close, given how short the lap is.
Well, going against usual trend, Jarno Opmeer, the first man to leave the garage. And let's go through the running order, of course, for this grid here tonight as we now look at the rear wing of the Flying Dutchman, leaving the paddock bay. And as he makes his way down through the exit and down through towards what will be the straight to Retro Poster. Jari Fitz, he's in for the Williams team. Fabrizio Donoso is in for Alpine as well. Jordan Poland in for Aston Martin, with Louis Welch adopting the Ferrari team here today. We have got, of course, Jack Lafferty in the AlphaTauri. Joost Noordijk joining the Flying Dutchman, Jarno Opmeer at Mercedes, with Felipe Sousa in the Red Bull, Simon Weigang in the Alfa Romeo, with Jarno Opmeer in the Mercedes, as I've said before, as we ride on board with him. Floris Spears in the Ferrari as well, with Jeffrey Miguel Ricci in the AlphaTauri, Chana Kinchi in the Alpine as well, with Mattis van Erven in the Haas, Josh Ainoue in the McLaren with Liam Parnell in the Red Bull, Jake Benham lines up in the McLaren as well, with Anton Derzalewski in the Aston Martin, Vatel Stachilek lines up in the Haas with Rupert Pedreño in the Williams, and Tom Martinez, second place at Saudi Arabia last time out. He is also in the Alfa Romeo alongside Simon Weigang. What a hench grid we have here tonight, Andy. We're going to be in for a corker as Jarno Opmeer now, the first to cross the line to commence the first lap here in qualifying here in WOR Brazil. Let's see what he can do, despite him being on intermediate tyres.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer out in the intermediate tyres, and as we all know, they like to use the intermediate tyre just to save some tyres and get a feel for the racetrack for that first run. Obviously, they'll change onto some dry tyres for the final run of qualifying. Jarno Opmeer and Tom Martinez, incidentally, the only two men out there, by the way, on intermediates. There are a few others out there on softs and mediums as Jarno Opmeer comes down towards the end of that first sector, 18.9 through that first timing beam, and we expect it to be a lot quicker than that on the drier tyres as Jarno Opmeer goes off the track and does his best Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton impression, whoever you prefer to say.
Absolutely. Quite a few still out on dry tyres though. That includes Simon Weigang, who's out on mediums and also out and about on dries. It's Fabrizio Donoso Delgado, of course, one of the grand finalists back in 2017, taking Brendan Lee all the way to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Unfortunately, Fabrizio Donoso was the wrong side of that affair. It was Brendan Lee who would take the championship, with Fabrizio Donoso in second. Sven Turner was in third for that one as well. But what a absolutely incredible prospect we have here, certainly with these incredible drivers out on track, plenty of them as well. And there is Fabrizio Donoso on the medium tyres, heading down the home straight, down towards the centre S's. And Alpine, a little bit of a mixed performance this season in F1 Esports. I think we all felt we would have expected perhaps to see a little bit more from them, Andy. But I want to give a little hat tip. A man that we've commentated on previously before is Simon Weigand comes across the line in a 1:16.207. Patrick Saipos turning up the heat and actually was surprisingly very well attuned to his first year in esports.
Yes, Patrick Saipos very, very strong in his very first year, George. I actually think, I remember way back to the start of the season, George, you really fancied that Alpine team, didn't you? You thought they could be threatening for the Constructors' Championship. It just wasn't to be this year in the end, but certainly a team, George, on the march for next season. And of course, we know there's a big driver merry-go-round, so we'll see how it all shapes up. But the Alpine team, maybe not collecting as many points as they would have liked, George, but certainly the likes of Patrick Saipos and also very, very strong throughout the season, and they'll be looking to go one better if they remain Alpine in the future.
Yeah, the time's starting to come in thick and fast now. The drivers aren't messing about as Joost Noordijk hits the front now as well, a 1:07.490. I can confirm we are expecting rain in this session today, which probably explains why we haven't seen so many intermediate runs so early on here, Andy. Maybe they're trying to save the tyres. They don't want to use too many wets. That could be the reasoning behind it. But interesting to see all the drivers now coming out straight away on dry tyres as Chanakichi hits the top with a 1:07.484.
Yeah, Chanakichi on a 1:07.84. We've got 1:84, and now we've got Jack Laverty coming up to the line as well. He's also on mediums, but it's not a particularly quick lap for him. The lap time's coming in thick and fast, George. Very surprising to see anyone, in fact, even venture out on those intermediate tyres. A bit of a surprise, George, it has to be said. Maybe a few of them didn't check the weather when they headed out onto the racetrack, but certainly a few grey clouds overhead. It does look a little bit darker above this Interlagos circuit, so it's a little bit of pressure on the drivers early in qualifying for once to get the lap time on the board.
Certainly is, getting very close in the pit lane between, I believe that to be Felipe Sousa, and behind there is a Ferrari as well, and that would have been Floris Viers, I think, getting a little bit close on pit exit, but we're now seeing them make their way around. Matis van Erven now with a 1:07.326, an incredible run there on medium tyres, getting them in early to say the least, and that is brilliant to see. Plenty of others still to make their way around as well. Fabrizio Donoso coming around the next left as well. He's got plenty of cars in hot pursuit, but he is certainly going to be sending it here. Plenty of others out and about on track as well. It's so hard to tell as who's going to be setting a quick lap, but Josh Idowu out and about on mediums as well, Andy, and we all know he likes to send it.
Yeah, he sure does. He's out there right now, and he's done a 16.697 through that first sector. Let's keep an eye on him as he makes his way into the middle part of the lap here in Brazil, and what a lap it is. You know, you get a bit of a deja vu here. You sweep downhill through 8 into turn 9 of Pinarino, and then back up the hill into Pico de Pato. It's like doing the same corner again and again. Very, very similar, this section of the track. 8 and 9, very similar to 10 and 11. Down the hill, sweeping left-handed through Margulo, and then spot the braking point just before that 50-metre board. Get the car turned in. Josh Idowu purple through the middle sector. So important to get on the throttle nice and early, because you're flat out all the way up the hill and then sweeping down towards the line. Take the shortest route to the line. That's what Josh Idowu does. Crosses that line now and moves up into second position, just a fraction slower than Matthias van Erven. Good lap there from Josh Idowu.
Yeah, 2 F1 Esports talents currently sitting in Ps 1 and 2. Of course, Magnus van Erven for Haas and Josh Idowu in second for McLaren. Incredible indeed. Chanakichi in third with Joost Noordijk there as well. Plenty of others out on track though. And looking at post-air delta times, Jack Lafferty's coming into the pit lane as well. Floris Viers is also out and about on track. He's making his way around the next left. Heading down past the Yankee Van Carnes. He's taking a very narrow line past the pit entry, clinging to that inside and takes P1 there with a 1:07.311, and a very, very good time indeed from Floris Viers in Q1 on medium tyres. He's shown some improvement, Andy.
Yeah, he's showing some big improvement, Floris Viers, finding some pace now, George, and yeah, I just think he needs to brush up on his wheel-to-wheel, just, you know, judge things properly, you know, to play the percentage game at times. I just think he goes all in far too often, and you know, it costs him time and it costs him a collision and damage to his car. I think it just needs to be a little bit more level-headed, play the percentage game, and you know what, I think we've got a really solid fast driver on our hands. So you know, if he can do that, I think there's potential there, George, because first and foremost, you need the talent, you need the speed. If you've got that, you're capable of controlling everything else around you, and Floris Viers can do that. It's just about being able to do that, and I'm sure in time, a little bit more you know, time in league racing, he might find his feet, and he might actually find himself back fighting towards the front more often.
Yeah, he could well do. Let's run on board with the man who's looking to set himself a fast lap as well. Last time out, podium sealer. Remember, he got P2 in a very, very dramatic finale at Saudi Arabia, the final stage, should I say, not the finale, final stage. He's in the penultimate race. Tom Martinez, he now rounds the next left, heading up now towards Junsao, heading through the next left, just feathering the throttle again as he now powers out in fifth gear, and sends it again, sixth, seventh, as he now makes his way around the Archibancadas, heads past the paddock very surely, past the pit lane. In comes Tom Martinez, comes across the line, he goes up to P9, not quite enough to strike the top end, but he's only just out of the way by around 4/10, and not too far away from some of those soft tyre times out.
Yeah, I wonder when we're going to get this rain, George. My guess would be maybe Q2 or Q3, because it's actually brightening up a little bit outside the commentary box window, so maybe these guys don't have that pressure on to get the lap in now, and maybe it won't rain at any moment in this session. It might be further on in qualifying they're expecting the rain when the cars are not out on track between sessions. We'll have to wait and see. Jos Nordijk is out there right now. He's 7/10 up, and he's lost the rear of the car at the bottom of the hill, so that lap is gone for him. So we'll pick up Jarno Opmeer, George, who is out there on a lap, isn't he?
Yeah, heading around Junsao now. We run on board now with the Flying Dutchman, once again crowned an F1 Esports champion, and looking to seal the deal on a suspected P2 as well, which I think he's going to grab very, very easily. Comes now past the paddock. Can he land a big blow here on soft tyres? Jarno Opmeer hits the top, the only man in the 106s. A grandiose lap, 7/10 in front, and that's exactly where he likes and needs to be, Andy.
7/10, that's quite a lot. It's quite a short circuit. Obviously there's a difference in tyres, but even still we're going to get a marker of just how quick that is, because Matthias van Erven is out there now. He's finding 8 and a bit tenths through the middle sector on his previous best, so this might even be enough to topple Jarno Opmeer. He's going to get a really nice tow as well from Jeffrey Ritchie in front of him as he sweeps to the inside to take the shortest route to the line. Matthias van Erven, does he go back on top in qualifying? He sure does, and by quite a distance, 3.5, almost 4/10 as Jake Benham goes into second place.
Yeah, I'm liking the way this is going, Andy. A true test of strength, a test of mettle. Already in Q1, Liam Parnell up into P3, toppling Jarno Opmeer's time, of course. Now, this is great. This is superb. So we want to see the best of them here dueling out on this circuit. And, of course, there is still the Constructors' Championship to be decided. Jarno Opmeer here today for Mercedes. We've also got Jake Benham here as well, driving a McLaren as well as Josh Idowu. So we got lots of squabbling still to be had in a championship point of view. We're going to be in for a real clinic here tonight. Plenty of cars out on track. Antoine Desilewski, who is going slow here on this initial run as well. Plenty of other cars out and about. Simon Weigang moves up into P5 as well. A man who we sort of misplaced and lost, I think, during F1 Esports, and he seems to have lost some of his best form, but we know he's got it in him. So what does Simon need to do to unleash that pace?
I don't know, George. It's a difficult one with Simon. We know he's got plenty of pace in his locker, and maybe just a case of extracting it more often, just being that little bit more consistent. You say about form being up and down. In F1 Esports, with the field so tight, it's so important that you bring your A game every single week. So, we don't know what's going on, but hopefully Simon Weigang can bring that to the table more often. He's up in P6 at the minute, which is really good to see. We've got a few people in danger. Ruben Pedreño was in danger, but he's no longer. He's gone up to 8th place on a 106.6. So time's flying in, George. What is the target going to be? Looks like everyone is going to go into the soft tyres, and I would say you're going to need a mid 1 minute 6 to be safe.
Yeah, and there goes Patel Stachulek, joins his teammate up into P2. Josh Idowu up into P3 ahead of Jake Benham, of course. It's a story of 2 Hasses, 2 McLarens, with Louis Welsh coming in out of nowhere up into P5 as well, showing some of that pad pace, and that is extraordinary, Andy. A 106.5. Where is the fastest time? We're seeing some very early 106s now. So where's the cut-off point? Are we talking, if you look at it, it goes right down to a 106.7. There's a huge gap between Floris Mears and, of course, Antoine Desilewski. Floris might need to set a big one here in order to sort of keep up with the trend here at this moment in time.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's so many drivers that's in danger. I'm beginning to think this 1 minute 6 is not going to be enough. I think even the likes of Jarno Opmeer might have to go again on those soft tyres, George. So this is going to be pretty interesting to see. Just a note on the pad king, Louis Welsh. I was talking to him yesterday, actually, and I think he did a video with Jarno Opmeer, about how good he is on the pad and just comparing the two. and he actually got a message from Tom McIntyre, who's a Scottish guy. He's a centre-half for Reading FC. Their game was off at the weekend, and he was practicing on the pad, looking for some advice from Louis Welsh. So there you go, the Pad King giving advice to the Reading centre-half, Tom McIntyre. Incredible stuff, George.
It's amazing how F1 Esports can certainly find its way across many platforms and areas, can't it? I mean, I'm seeing loads of footballers now getting involved on it. I had a Sydney FC fan commenting on some of my commentary work the other day. It was extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary, but great to have them here nevertheless. Footballers, you're all welcome. Anyone from any sport is welcome. Jari Fitz on a slow lap and yet to set one as well. So a very key point now in qualifying for Jari Fitz and Fabrizio Donoso. Neither of them have set quali laps here, Andy. I think we ought to ride on board with Fabrizio Donoso to see what he can do in the die moments of Q1.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, George. So a bit of pressure on him without a lap time on the board. Simon Vagag coming out of the pits there, but he's out of the way, no problem. What's that first sector looking like? It's a 16.5 for Fabrizio Donoso as he makes his way to the end of that first sector, swoops down the hill then, and then climbing towards that middle part of the lap. Very tight, very twisty, uphill right-hander turn. This corner here, so easy to lose the rear end, but it's planted for Fabrizio Donoso. So easy to lock a break into here, run wide, but Donoso all under control, hugging the inside curb like his favourite granny, out onto the exit curb and then sweeping down into this tricky right-hander, getting plenty of rotation to then sweep back down the hill through this left-hander. That McLaren of Jake Benham just about out of the way, and it's a 50 flat through the middle sector from Donoso, looking pretty strong. A little wobble from the rear of the Alpine as he heads now down the back straight towards the start-finish line. Once again, like we've seen from every driver, looking for every 100th, every 10th by taking the shortest distance to the line. Donoso crosses it now, and he should be safe with that. A 1 minute 6.490.
Yeah, great clutch finale there from Fabrizio Donoso. Here comes Jari Fitz, who needs to do exactly the same. Can he field a good lap? He comes across the line, P11, and that will put him in the safe zone. But the question is, can he be safe? He is certainly in danger. Like many others, Jarno Opmeer is going quicker again. He's coming around. Oh, he spun it! Jarno Opmeer has spun it at a very key moment in qualifying. He is far from safe, Andy. Look at the string of drivers down below who have yet to set laps. He has got to do it now or never, Andy.
Yeah, he's in big trouble. Here comes Jordan Poland and he's currently 19th at the minute. His first lap was on the mediums. He's now on the softs. He needs a big time to move out of the bottom 5. Where will he go as he crosses the line now? He goes up to P8, a 106.59559.
Yeah, Tom Martinez as well on a real flyer heading through the middle sector. Heads around the next right-hander and he's now going to feather the throttle around the next left. Josh Idawu happy with his time. He's not going to look to improve as now we see Martinez around Bico de Pato. He has got them. Magulo now next up. A little bit of a twitch there on the front end of that Alfa Romeo as he heads up now towards the Junsao corner. Round the next left, takes a lot of the curbing. Now heading up towards turn 14 and the Archie back corner straight as he heads now through turn 14, hugs the inside line again. Martinez looking to try and get out of relegation. He comes across the line, it's not enough. P18, I don't think Martinez is going to make it, Andy, but he's got one more chance.
Yeah, Jarno Opmeer not looking good at the minute. A really ragged first sector. Will he be saved by everyone else? Antoine Desilewski needs an improvement. He's coming up to the line now. Will it be enough to improve for Desilewski? No, he stays 17th. Disaster for him. Joost Noordijk, he's coming to the line. Can he get ahead of his teammate Jarno Opmeer and put even more pressure on him? Joost Noordijk then for the line to get out of Q1. Goes fifth fastest. So Felipe Sousa now. We wait for him. He's on a lap. He's coming to the line. Will he get out of the bottom 5? No, he's bottom. He's 20th and slowest. Opmeer might be safe.
Yeah, Jack Lafferty's coming to join them as well. We'll have to look and see what he can do. He's hugging the inside as well himself as he comes towards the line. Lafferty looking for a last-minute steal, but he can't do it either. As Tom Martinez now rounds Junsao, he's going slower. I don't think he's going to make it, unfortunately. Simon Vagag on the bubble. Jarno Opmeer, he's scraping in a 14th spot. Can he hold on to it? I think he can, Andy. The Dutchman is just hanging in there.
He's just hanging in there because drivers behind him made mistakes or just did not have the raw speed. We were right, and mid 1 minute 6 was the cut-off. We said it right at the start of the session before they went out on the softs, and it was indeed. Jarno did need to go again, but in the end he was just enough to squeeze through by a few hundredths of a second, and that It's the fine margins you get in league racing. Incredible, George.
Absolutely breathtaking, Andy. Absolutely breathtaking. And that is what we've come to love and enjoy about WOR. And they've brought the best of it, folks, here for the final race at Brazil. So you're not going to be disappointed if you're certainly watching us here on this broadcast. Amazing to say the least. But the big story is Mattis van Herven is in P1 at 106.289, and he is clear of Chanakinchi, who's in second place. Let's have a look at some of the final times. There you can see Mattis van Herven clocks out as fastest for Haas at the top end here in Q1. Unfortunately, we'll just go through the ones we're losing here in Q1, folks. We're losing Jack Lafferty, Ruben Pedreño, Anton Desaluski, Tom Martinez, and Felipe Souza. Incidentally, there are no double constructors out. We've still got at least one of each of AlphaTauri, Williams, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, and Red Bull going through to the next round. Jarno Watmir, the story though, maybe he wasn't giving it full beans on this session, Andy, but he was very close to nearly getting an elimination.
No, I think he was giving it full beans, George. Maybe not in the first lap, but he was certainly trying his best on the second lap because he knew it might not have been enough. Ragged Edge, I went on board with him, George, through the first sector. Senna S, back end sliding. Knew he was in trouble right away. Went through that first timing beam on that second lap, a tenth and a half down. He knew right away the lap was gone. So ragged stuff, but in the end, just enough. The drivers behind, not quite quick enough to punish the reigning F1 Esports champion, who just about lives for another day, George. What a session, what a lap from Mattis van Herven at the top of the times. Got the lap in right away, through we go. Cigar, feet up, into Q2.
Yeah, we are hearing word actually that Jarno's having some issues with his steering wheel at the moment, so that might have actually contributed to his efforts in Q1. But if that's the case, then he's done spectacularly well with what he's had to get things underway. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone watching at home as well. We're just scratching the surface at 150 live viewers right now. Thank you ever so much for joining us here for this last race in Season 11 of WOR. Don't forget as well to hit the like and subscribe button as well and stay up to date with all Mattis Season 12 coming very, very soon, folks. And make sure you stay up to date as well on the Twitter page as well at WOR League. Well, Andy, we're going to be heading out now into Q2. What are your thoughts from Q1? Anything the drivers need to change? Also, people in the live chat, what are your thoughts heading into Q2? Who do you think is staying in? Who do you think is going out? Andy, thoughts over to you.
Yeah, well, a very good start from Mattis van Herven. Very early days though, George. Only one section down. We're expecting some rain at some point in qualifying. It's looking like it might be in Q3 because I don't see a cloud in the sky at the minute, George. So we'll have to wait and see who's got the best wet weather pace. But certainly in the dry so far, looking strong. Mattis van Herven, Chanakinchi always appears to be a really good qualifier as well. We'll see how it all pans out in the race. I'm looking to see big things from the two McLaren boys, Josh Idaho and Jake Benham as well. Jarno Watmir, if he can sort his steering wheel out, we'll start to see what he is capable of. But certainly, you could tell from his lap times out there, it wasn't going to plan. So maybe if he can sort that steering wheel out, we'll see him up near the front as well, because of course, the F1 Esports champion, you can never write him off.
No, you certainly can't. There is Fabrizio Donoso, and I can see that Alpine have brought an army with them. They've got Nicholas Longe and Patrick Sipos in the chat, of course, fresh from a very, very interesting visit to F1 Esports this season. I'm sure they've got plenty of stories to tell from that one, but Fabrizio Donoso now is going to look to tell a story here in WOR as he makes his way down now the straight, heading towards the Senna S's. Already we're seeing a purple first sector in from Wator Stachulek. Let's see if Fabrizio Donoso can put a hole in that as well. Obviously, we're just getting this session underway. Donoso not messing about, straight onto the soft tyres here in Q2. Obviously, no benefit really unless you want to start on mediums. Obviously, Q2 is where you get the tyres you start on. But we are having a full wet race here, Andy, as Fabrizio Donoso does invalidate. It is going to mean that whatever you qualify on in Q2, should I say, it's not going to matter.
Okay, so are we expecting rain in quali or the race? Sorry, George. I thought we were expecting it in qualifying. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was got that wrong, and we are expecting it in the race. I know we were expecting rain at some point. I wasn't sure when, but yeah, if it is indeed in the race, then you'd think everyone's going to stick a set of softs on it. But interestingly, so far, there's a few drivers still considering mediums. So strange one. Interesting to see, George, how it all pans out. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see what happens in Q3.
Yeah, well, we are hearing some words on that. Jeffrey Ritchie comes across the line. Here comes Simon Weigang. He goes up into second place. We've got another driver as well in P13. Josh Idawu, who's already set a fastest first sector, a 16.5 in the first sector as he now rounds the next left-hander. So Idawu now looking to really try and plant a big one here at this moment in time. Rounds the next right-hander, heads through the next left now, and will make the almighty climb up towards the Junsao corner. This next left, once again, feathering the throttle. Just trying again, pushing the car, and looking very, very good so far. Comes down the next left now, and the Archiban Cardis is up next. He went purple in the second sector as well, did Josh Idawu, but he's coming into the pit lane, Andy.
Yeah, interesting one. So maybe didn't want to set the lap on the soft tyres. Maybe he wants to go to mediums. Again, don't know when that rain's coming, so we'll have to wait and see. So maybe he's going to switch to mediums, because that looked like a pretty quick lap up to that point from Josh Idawu, but he's bailed out of it. So we've only got 2 laps so far on the softs. Jeffrey Ritchie and Simon Weigang. Channa Kinsey's done his on the mediums, Flores on the softs, but not a particularly quick one they could beat on the medium tyres. So interesting to see all the strategies being played out. Fabrizio Donoso has done a relatively quick first sector, George. Let's pick him up and see if he completes his lap as he makes his way up to the second sector. Just a 10th down on what we've seen so far from, Josh Idawu before he bailed out. Middle sector matching now what Josh Idawu did. Will he complete the lap or will he come into the pits? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, let's keep our eyes on Fabrizio Donoso. Heads around the next left-hander past the Archiban Cardis. He's going to hug the inside line. No, he's going for it this time. He heads across the line now, and Donoso hits the front with a 106.452 and creates a gap of just under 0.2 of a second clear of that man, Jeffrey Ritchie. So not bad at all there from the Chilean. Certainly showing a statement of intent, but we have still got 10 minutes left to go. But good signs, good encouraging signs there from Fabrizio Donoso.
Yeah, absolutely, George, no doubt about it. He is intending to start the race on softs should it be dry, because he's not beating that time on mediums. Jake Benham crossed the line, does a 107.2 on the medium compound, so let's see what he does. I'm sure he'll go again on a set of softs. We'll wait and see, but certainly a time he can beat on the soft tire. So I love this, George. I really do enjoy this Q2. All the strategies at play. This is where the drivers really set their weekend up and what they intend to do going into the race. Remember, everyone just tuning in, if you're new to F1 or new to esports or new to any part of it, the time you do in Q2 for the top 10 qualifiers dictates what tyre you start the race on, unless, of course, it's a wet start, and of course you'll be on inters or wets.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Donoso just on a bit of a cool-down run. There's plenty of cars still out on track, though. We're just going to be waiting to see Jari Fitz out in 7th place right now. And he, of course, sitting there at the moment for Williams, as he's on a cool-down run himself. So very shortly we'll see quite a few of them heading out on outlaps. We certainly do. Joost Noordijk being one of them, Josh Idawu, as well as Jordan Poland as well. Płacel Stachelek also out and about. Simon Weigang goes out on another run. Now, we know that we can get into the early 106s, Andy. So are we anticipating a similar run again? Do we think we're going to be...
Depends.
In the cut-off point, the mid-106s?
I mean, it really does depend what they choose to qualify on. Josh Idawu, by the way, starting that lap now, George. He bailed out of the one we saw on softs, and he's now doing one on medium. So I think that tells us quite a lot, George. I think that tells us he intends to qualify and start the race on medium tyres, as he's invalidated it going through turns 1 and 2. So that's that lap in the bin. But yeah, that's quite a telling factor, that first lap on softs, bailed out, and now he's out there on the mediums. So maybe a medium tyre start for him. So it's really difficult to answer that question, George, until we know what the drivers are going to qualify on.
Yeah, a bit of a sucker punch for Josh Idawu at the very start of his run, but I'm sure he'll be back for some more, that's for sure. Plenty of cars now still making their way out onto the track. There's a Red Bull there, and that is Liam Parnell, who's making his way out onto the circuit here at Brazil. As we now look at Simon Weigang coming around turn 4, the scene of where Verstappen and Hamilton had their little affair, heading around that left-hander. Of course, would contribute to the championship fight that we would later have at Abu Dhabi, but we won't get into that tonight, folks, that's for sure. As we now see Weigang rounding the next right-hander, down through the next left. He's gone purple in sector 1, so looking very, very quick here, Weigang, and this would be certainly a great feather in his cap if he can nestle one on top spot. Of course, pipping the likes of Fabrizio Donoso will certainly help his cause with 7.5 minutes remaining here in Q2. Heading around the next left at 33.5 in sector 2 as well, as Weigang now heads up towards the next straight. The Archiban Cardis, the grandstands littered with people as now a capacity audience watch Weigang come up towards the line. He will mark his way into P2, just in behind Donoso. I think he lost a little bit of time in 2, lost a little bit of time in 3, Andy.
Yeah, I think he might have lost the time in the final sector because he was very, very quick up till that stage. Perhaps early signs, George, of someone running a wet setup without very much speed down the straight, perhaps, maybe. So Simon Weigang, second quickest at the minute, looked for all certainty that he was going to go quickest of all, George, but no, wasn't to be. And perhaps running a wet setup. We'll have to keep an eye on that one, George, as Donoso begins yet another flying lap. These guys clearly committing themselves to a set of soft tyres. There's a few others out there with a little bit of indecision. You're watching Flores Beers. He is now on the soft tyre, had been on the mediums. So here's another driver committing to the soft compound, George. Let's see what he can do. Will he complete the lap or will he bail out? He's going to complete it. Here comes the Dutchman up to the line. What's it going to be? It's a 106.6, third fastest.
Yeah, third fastest indeed. Jarno Opmeer also out on a lap as well. He set a 16.7 in the first sector. That's not too far off what the first man, Fabrizio Donoso, set. He set a 16.5 as purple in the first sector, which he has just done. So we'll go back on board with Donoso after we finish with Jarno Opmeer, as we now watch the Flying Dutchman now head up through towards Junsao corner. And he set a 33.9 in sector 2, as there we see the F1 Esports champion head through the next left now. Here in the final sector, he'll pass the Archibald Cardis and through the paddock line, hugging the inside line on medium tyres. Jarno Opmeer up to P7 in behind his teammate Joost Noordijk. Fabrizio Donoso looking to improve yet again. He's fastest in all sectors. Incredible lap from Donoso, a 106.422. He went fastest in sector 1, 2 and 3. Brilliant lap there by the Chilean.
Yeah, and brilliant lap as well from Jarno Opmeer at 170, quickest of all the medium runners so far. It looks like he is committing to that tyre for qualifying. Will it be enough to get him through though? Because there might be a few drivers that might commit to a set of soft tyres, but at the minute, not enough committing. Liam Parnell is one of them. He is out there at the minute, but he's not doing a particularly quick second sector. So let's wait and see if he intends to pit. He is pitting, and it looks to me like he's another driver going for medium tyres. So only 6 drivers at the minute, George, committing to softs, the rest going to mediums. Let's see if any more will be enticed onto the softs for the final runs.
Well, this man might have the answer to your question, Andy. Matthias van Erven goes to the top there. He set an incredible first sector, and he's gone to the top with a 106.228. Now, we saw him in F1 Esports. He had bags of potential. Has obviously not, I don't think, the strongest of teams, or certainly did not have the strongest run in F1 or F1 Esports for that matter, but Matthias, who certainly looks to be one of the grand performers, again showing us why. A great display here in Q2 already.
Yeah, he's looking really good for pole position at the minute, George, because that is 2 106.2s in 2 sessions unanswered by anyone. Donoso, he's pumped in a couple of 106.4s, hasn't he? Van Erven just out of nowhere, bang, 106.2, and very, very impressive. And at the minute, got to be the shortest odds for pole position at the minute. But you know, it's going to keep warming up though, and we will see the best from other drivers pretty soon. But Van Erven looking the most confident of everyone out there, George. 2 laps now, 106.2 straight away, first time of asking.
What it does mean, Andy, is of course those who have set times on the C3 medium tyre, that of course being the likes of Louis Welch and also the likes of the Flying Dutchman Jarno Opmeer, they have got to go out again, Andy, I think.
I'll tell you what, George, Fitz has gone for the softs. So there you go. So there's one driver right away is committing to the soft tyres. A few of them still anxiously waiting in the pits, waiting to see about their decision. The likes of Idaho, Welsh, Benham, Opmeer, they're all in the pit lane waiting to see if it's right to go out in the softs or the mediums. Will they get through on the mediums? It doesn't look like it, because here's another man, Jari Fitz, starting a lap, about to knock them even further down the order with a set of soft tyres.
Yeah, and so is Jeffrey Ritchie. He's out on the softs as well and set a 16.5 in the first sector as well. So he's gone up on his previous lap time, but I think he made a little error because he's already backed out a bit.
Fitz.
Yeah, we got Chanakinchi, who's also out as well. He's not out, but he's got an invalidated lap time. P13 as well. Jari Fitz has also made a mistake as well. Plenty of others out on track, though, making their way out on outlaps. So we're going to have our pick of the crowd, our pick of the drivers here, heading into the final moments of qualifying. 2.5 minutes to go. Who's getting eliminated, Andy?
Well, it's tough to say, George, because we're just going to have to wait and see, because I don't know what tyres they're all going to go for. But Jake Benham is the furthest man round of those on the mediums that's on an outlap. So here we go. He's now gone to softs, of course. So let's see what he can do. So let's have a guess at the cut-off now, George. Looks like everyone has stopped playing games and is going to start qualifying on the soft tyres. So the cut-off for me 106.5, I'm going to say. Maybe a 6.4 come the end of qualifying. We'll wait and see, but I'm going to go for a mid 06.5 for the cut-off. Jake Benham then attacking that first sector. What's it going to be? He's absolutely flying. 16.4, 1 and a bit tenths up already on his lap on the medium.
Another man who's flying as well as his teammate Josh Idowu McLaren here, coming in with some force. But have a look at P6. Chanakinchi has gone quicker than all of them. Purple sector 1, Andy, here in this session. So he is absolutely flying. We'll keep an eye on Jake Benham, of course. So let's see if the times light up even more for some of these guys now in the die moments of Q2. Still now, Jake Benham round the next right-hander. As you can see, the orange glowing brake discs here on the McLaren, nearly the same colour as the actual papaya livery that we're watching around Jinsao corner now. Jake Benham, WOR F1 PC champion now, heading around the next left. Can he pull off a champion's performance? Chanakinchi gone fastest of all in second 2 as well. Flying. He is absolutely skinning them here. Here comes Benham. Benham into P2. But let's keep it on Chanakinchi as he now comes up across the line. He is absolutely knuckle dusting this one. P1, and he does sneak into P1. A crucial moment in qualifying. 0.022. That is how far he's clear of Matthias van Erben, Andy.
That's an incredible lap. What a lap from him. Jordan Poland currently in the bottom 5. Needs a big improvement, George. Coming up to the line now. P14. Where does he go? P8. He squeezes through. Will that be enough? It remains to be seen. Just Nordic is on the bubble as he starts his final lap. Louis Wells currently out. Can the Padman get through? He can. P7 for him now. Lap times tumbling everywhere, George. Piotr Stanek, he's out there as well. They're all absolutely flying.
Yeah, Pato Stachulek heading around the next left to Jinsao, now past the Archiban Carnes. He has set a reasonable time himself at 16.5 in the first sector, 33.5 in sector 2. Here comes Stachulek, P11, not enough, Andy. And this is what we meant by the times tumbling down, and they're tumbling down some more as Liam Parnell's on a flyer as well.
Yeah, big lap needed from Parnell. He's gone purple through the middle sector. The Red Bull driver on a flyer. Jarno Opmeer elected not to go again. He is out of qualifying. He's happy with the mediums. Here comes Liam Parnell to the line. Can he get out of qualifying? No, he can't. He's 13th. He might even have slowed to the line there. I'm not too sure. Just Nordic is the only man now that can find some time and improve in his lap. Can he not? Flores Fears out of qualifying right at the very end. Here comes the Mercedes driver, Jarno's teammate, up to the line. And he does knock Flores out, goes 8th quickest, so it's Flores out of qualifying in the end. And yeah, Jarno Opmeer on the medium tyre, George. Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. He is staying in P14 as Jarno Opmeer, and that is where he will stay heading into the race. Dramatic scenes here in qualifying. Incredible stuff indeed. What a story this could tell. I mean, he obviously knew what he was doing. I mean, he was out on medium tyres throughout the run, Andy. He did not opt for the softs at all. What does that say about Jarno's strategy? Is that the strategy that he's going to employ, or that he did employ in F1 Esports all season long? Is he going for the overcut?
It's an interesting one, George. He's gone for the medium tyres, so going for the long run. He's got 13 cars in front of him, and what is a really short racetrack, George. Interesting as well, how he's getting on with that wheel issue. It'd be interesting to hear if anyone's watching the stream, his stream, how he's getting on with that. Has he sorted it out? It would be good to know. But maybe that is playing a factor in why he's gone for the mediums, just to give him a bit more time out of the car to try and sort that wheel.
Yeah, as we now watch the Ferrari team now wheel the car into the garage. Big problems, I think, for Jarno Opmeer in terms of his wheel. We've heard from a couple of people in the live chat who were saying that there is some issues. It's disconnecting. So we're not quite sure what's going on, but there's certainly a hardware problem for Jarno Opmeer. But don't take anything away from Chanakinchi. That 106.206 was absolutely breathtaking, Andy. Going purple in sector 1, 2, and I think pretty much 3 as well. A glowing lap there by Chanakinchi, going clear of Matthias van Erben, of course. Fabrizio Donoso in 3rd. Jake Benham, the current champion of WOR PC in P4. Let's have a look at the eliminations. Flores Veers just losing out, heading into Q3. Pato Stachulek, Liam Parnell, Jarno Opmeer, and Jari Fitz. So incredible to see. A couple of big scalps gone there, Andy.
Yeah, a couple of big scalps going there, George. Of course, Jarno Opmeer going for the medium tyre, and we're reading now in the chat, thanks to Dali for giving us some information. He says he's back using SimCube wheel, not a Fanatec, as he's testing it, and he chooses to start in the mediums because it's rain in the race, George. So,
explains
okay,
it.
that's an interesting one. So, yeah, well, I suppose it must be rain later on in the Grand Prix, not at the start, which explains why they were all deciding what tyres to go on throughout the session. So yeah, going to be interesting, George. But I've got to say, from what I've seen so far, Matthias Van Erven looking very strong, as is Chanakinchi. That's both sessions now. They've been right up at the sharp end. And I just think it's going to be Van Erven. I really do. I think he's nailing the lap, first time out the box, and I think he's going to get the pole position, George. That's the man I'm going for.
Well, do you think that first season of F1 Esports that he's garnered and those experiences has given him that little bit of hunger that he needed, Andy? Because he's come back here, he looks like a different animal from what we've seen him before. We saw him a couple of times before he went to the Pro Series. He's come here today and he almost looks better for the experience.
Yeah, you know, George, league racing at a high level is pressure. It is, because you've got so many people watching, so much interest. But when you go away and do it, the real thing, the F1 Esports, and come back to league racing, this is like nothing anymore. And maybe the weight's off his shoulders, and maybe he's maybe just a new man when it comes to this, and he's really, really strong, straight out the box, George, and blisteringly quick. And yeah, that just goes to show it's just part of the growth of an esports driver, isn't it? And he's shining brilliantly here in qualifying. And for me, it's the pick for pole position. Very interested to hear what everyone in the chat's thinking. Let us know, folks. We're always interested here at WOR for your thoughts. Who are you going for pole position? Let us know in the chat. I'm going Van Erven. George, who are you going for?
Well, I don't want to go Van Erven because I think I would like to mix things up here for this one. But I do like what Chanakinchi's doing right now. And I get a feeling that the Turk might just get it. I think he's looking solid. He's loving life in Alpine. That Q2 lap was sensational. But like Andy said, we want to hear from you folks. Hammer that live chat, of course. We want to hear what you've got to say about the Q3 finale that we've got here at this very moment in time here at Brazil, of course. Who is going to be on pole position? Hit up the live chat. We'll read them out as soon as we see them. But Andy, now they're all making their way out onto the circuit. All of them out on laps. I've got to say, we're going to be in for a corker.
Yeah, we sure are going to be in for a corker, George. So many top drivers. Fabrizio Donoso, he's been up at the front throughout the qualifying session too. Both McLarens through. Josh Idaho, doesn't matter what league it is. Could be F1 Esports, WOR. He's always in the top 10. What a fantastic finish we're going to have. Luke Smith says it's going to be Jeffrey Ritchie with a 5.8. I'm going to hold you to that, Luke.
Well, he's going to have to do better because he has invalidated that first run. Fabrizio Donoso out in P1 at this moment in time, obviously subject to lap times being determined, but he immediately goes fastest of all in Sector 1 with a 16.5. Heads through the Ferragura, heading down into the next right-hander now. It's got to be a massive middle sector now. This is where it's going to be very, very key. All points in this circuit are very key, but how important is it to get this first and middle sector right, Andy?
Yes, very important, George. It's actually more important than anywhere else to get the whole track right because it's such a short lap. If you lock up into turn one or run wide anywhere on the racetrack, difficult to make that time back up, George, because it's such a small lap. So, yeah, very, very important to get things right. And at the minute, Donoso is doing that and is putting together a very, very strong opening lap. And I would say this is going to be around a 106.4.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Crosses the line, 106.5, not far away at all. You know who he was? Who stole the Sector 2 purple off Fabrizio Donoso, comes up towards the line, takes the inside line as well, hugging to the concrete barrier, goes up to P1 there. Wow. 0.2 of a second, near enough, off Fabrizio Donoso. Works out at 1.5 tenths to be exact. Plenty of other cars out on track, including this man, Jake Benham, who is going slowly. He's on a slow lap, not quite working out for that man, but encouraging scenes from the Padman in Q3.
Yeah, Jeffrey Ritchie and Chanakinchi both invalidating their laps, so not working out for them as Josh Idaho has now started his first sector. The Ferrari of Louis Welch jumping out of the way. I've got to say, George, that final sector from Louis Welch was absolutely outrageous because it was level with Fabrizio Donoso up to the middle sector. So where he found the time in that final part, I'm not too sure. Perhaps a difference in wet and dry setups there between those two drivers as Josh Idaho threads the eye of the needle through that middle part of the lap. How's he going to look as he heads up to that middle sector? The Welshman, your fellow countryman, George, flying that Welsh flag very high and proudly as he makes his way down the hill into the left-hander. What's it going to be? It's a 49.8 and he's purple through Sector 1 and Sector 2 and he's looking very strong for pole, but Louis Welch was very strong in that final sector.
Certainly is. There's a rumble in the Ronda and it's been provided by Josh Idaho. Purple in the first two sectors. He'll come up towards the line. It is going to be P1 with a 106.280 by the Welshman. And that's exactly what he needed after a very, very unfortunate visit at Imola. And he already replies now and hits the front here. Very nearly halfway through Q1 already.
Yeah, very, very nearly, George. Another invalidated lap from Chanakinchi. Now we need to pick up Matthias Van Erven, who's now gone purple himself through the first sector. So these two now rising to the occasion. Van Erven now then, once again, as we've seen in the first two sessions, nailing the lap at the first attempt. Josh Idawu nailing his lap at the first attempt in Q3, making things very difficult, putting the pressure on Matthias Van Erven, but he's had all the answers up till now in qualifying. Let's see how he looks through the middle sector. The Haas driver sweeping down the hill, up towards the timing beam. What's it going to be? 49.7. Oh, he's so quick. A tenth quicker than what we've seen from Idawu. This could be threatening a 106.1, maybe even a 106.0. Matthias Van Erven, he's been the star of qualifying so far. Can he complete the job? Shortest route to the line. Van Erven, can he do it? Oh, he's lost time, losing time in the final sector. I thought I'd seen him have a little slide on the way in, and the time is gone, and he goes third quickest.
And do you know what? It was cruel, Andy. It was oh so cruel, because he set the fastest first sector of all, a 16.4 in the first sector. It's extraordinary. We haven't seen anything really of the sort here at all in this qualifying, at all in Brazil. We got to 16.5s, maybe late 16.4s, but we did not see a 16.4 itself here in the first sector. So Matthias Van Erven showing all kinds of pace here right now.
Yeah, I'm stunned at that final sector. He did a 16.5 Van Erven in the final sector. Josh Idawu 16.4. Losing time there. I don't know how he lost so much time, but in the end, Van Erven looked certain for pole. Only one corner, really. One braking zone in that final sector. Lost it all and dropped to third. Incredible, George. What's Akinci doing? He's coming out on an outlap now. Let's see what he can do in a few moments' time.
Yeah, my pick for qualifying. He's then making his way out for his outlap after a very positive first run in Q2, and we'll have to wait and see what he can do yet again. Of course, Q3 now well underway. We're into the final 5 minutes. The halfway point is nearly upon us, folks. As you can see, a lot of the cars now in the pit lane and getting ready for what I like to call the shotgun finale of qualifying. Now, this can be a very tense moment. This is where you need to really be a clutch performer, Andy. Do it where it counts in the dying minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it. This is the key moment of the session, no doubt about it, George. It's incredible because we've been looking at Matthias Van Erven, and first two sectors, absolutely epic. Just like the first two sections, final sector, a little bit off. Akinci, he's been the man nailing it in Q1 and Q2 as well. But he's had two invalidated attempts so far, so the pressure beginning to tell on some of these drivers. What about on the third attempt? In fact, there is no third attempt. Akinci straight back into the pits, George. Wow, very strange.
That is a very strange choice or decision by Akinci, to say the least. And I didn't see that coming. I felt that he was just going to continue onwards, go out for another lap. Maybe he's waiting for the track to heat up a little more. I mean, I'm not quite sure, but all the cars are now in the pit lane. One has just left now, so we're going to be waiting very shortly. But we've still got plenty of time. Just over 4 minutes remain in this session.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 20 to go. I'm not too sure what's going on there with Akinci. Maybe he's made an error, gone out on the same tyres, or maybe even, and this might sound crazy as these guys are so good at, you know, such quick drivers, such experienced drivers. Maybe, George, that Brazil pit lane's bitten him and he's clipped the front wing off the barrier somewhere on the way out and damaged it. I can only think that would be the reason why, because it's very strange to see him go straight back in the pit. So maybe he's overfueled it, underfueled it. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, getting a little too close for comfort. Jake Benham now leaving on an outlap as well. But the first man to potentially post a first lap here towards the end of Q3 is going to be this man, Jeffrey Ritchie, in the AlphaTauri. So big moment for him, currently sitting in P9. The bottom three, Andy, yet to seal the deal on lap times, which only intensifies the pressure. They've only got one chance, arguably, to get a time on the board in this session. So it's very vital they pull it together here at these dying moments.
Sure is, George. McLaren front row lockout at the minute. Quite incredible at the minute as Jeffrey Ritchie winds up for his first and only flying lap of qualifying in Q3. No time on the board just yet. Maybe a couple of invalidations prior as he comes across the line and begins his final run. The first man to start that final run in Q3. What can he do? Where can he put that AlphaTauri car? Calvin Bonner in the chat has said JB for Paul. He's going for Jake Benham. We want to hear from everyone else. Who are you going for Paul, and what kind of time does it need to be for Paul? What do we think, folks?
Yeah, please land your comments in the live chat, folks. We can see now that Jeffrey Ritchie now hightailing through the first sector, 16.5 in that first sector as he now comes into sector 2 proper. Oh, spinning there, losing the car. And that is going to put a real dent in his hopes here in the dying moments of qualifying. That's the last thing you need at this moment, Andy.
Yeah, it's the last thing he needs, but because he's so far around the lap, he might have time to go again. Well, everyone will have time to go again, but he's so far around that he can maybe have a recharge lap and bide his time and then go again. We'll wait and see. Such a short lap round here. Next up on a flying lap is Jake Benham. He's making his way now, but he's gone really slowly for the first sector, hasn't he? He's bailed out already. Maybe a moment into turn one, maybe a locked left front tyre, perhaps, George. Not too sure. Behind him, Josh Idawu about to start a lap, but I think there's a few drivers a little bit further round, namely Fabrizio Donoso, the Chilean, on a lap, but it's a slow first sector. He's down already. He's bailed out too. Chanakinchi starting his though.
Yeah, he certainly is. Chanakinchi now round in the next one. He's got 16.4 again in Sector 1 here, Andy. He is finding some severe pace here right at this moment in time. Heading into the middle sector now. In behind him as well, Joost Noordijk going a 16.5, just a hair's breadth slower than that of Chanakinchi. As now we see the Alpine make its way around Sector 2. He's got the next right-hander now. This, of course, being Pico Tapato, who heads around and just easing the car around. He's made a mistake as well. He's made a bit of a mistake. Yeah, they're really starting to really come a cropper here right at this late stage of qualifying. What's the latest, Andy?
They're all making mistakes. I tell you who isn't. Josh Idawu finding more time, improving on his lap. Oh no, he's down. He's bailed out as well, has he? Oh well, they're all going slowly. Joost Noordijk though, he's finding time, and he could be threatening the top 4 places here. Out of nowhere, the Mercedes driver heading for the line. What's it going to be? It's P5, a 106.397. So many drivers at the 106.3, George.
Yeah, absolutely, and good display of pace by Joost Noordijk as he heads out of the centre S's. Not bad at all. Another man who's going quickly is Simon Weigang, 33.4, fastest of all in Sector 2. Wow. He went a 16.5 in Sector 1. Weigang now looking to go hunting this time in certainly the third sector. P1, will he go? He certainly does. A 106.243. Sensational. Nearly half a tenth quicker than that man, Josh Idawu.
Absolutely fantastic. Out of nowhere, Simon Weigang. Welcome back, Simon. Awesome lap there from Weigang. Josh Idawu is on another lap. Jake Benham was going quickly, but he had to bail out. So incredibly, it's Simon Weigang, the man delivering under pressure at the minute as they all fall by the wayside. Josh Idawu is out there going once again, as is Matthias van Erven. He's further round the lap. What can he do? But you're seeing Donoso going quickly, George. Yeah,
Donoso currently setting a 13.4 in Sector 2 as well. We got Chanakinchi's invalidated his time. He will not. I don't think he'll find another time. Here comes Donoso coming across the line himself. He gets into P1 with a 106.186. Sensational. We got Idawu now coming up towards the line. He crosses the line and moves into P1 himself. A 106.088, Andy. Incredible.
Absolutely epic, and that is it, George. That is it. Unless Weigang's going again, he is not going again. Josh Idawu sticks it on top. What a lap from Idawu into the zeros now. 106.088. Pole position. Absolutely epic from Josh Idawu. And we said he was quick in qualifying. He proved it in F1 Esports. And now here in WOR, he's quickest of all. He's on pole position. Brilliant stuff.
There was a rumble in the Ronda, Andy, and it was Josh Idawu. He came out, brought his best to the table, a 106.088. The only man to break into the zeros here in the 16s. That is extraordinary. Fabrizio Donoso also managed to get himself back at the top end. P2 as well joins Idawu on the front row of the grid. Simon Weigang in third with Chanakinchi fourth. Matthias van Erven in fifth with Louis Welch in sixth. Jake Benham in seventh. Jordan Poland in eighth, with Joost Noordijk in 9th and Jeffrey Ritchie in 10th. How about that, Andy? A firecracker finale for the final race this season.
Absolutely fantastic, Josh. We should get sacked. Both our calls 4th and 5th. Not even in the top 3.
We don't deserve to be here, mate.
No, we don't. What do we know? What do we know?
Washed. We're washed.
Washed. Exactly. That just shows you, George, though. It shows you just how unpredictable, how tight, how strong these drivers are. Jake Benham was on the front row before the final runs. He now starts 7th because he couldn't get a lap in. Incredible.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely phenomenal, folks. Whether you guys had any of those in your predictions, I have no idea, but we certainly didn't, that's for sure, as you could probably tell. But delighted, certainly, for Josh Idawu as a fellow countryman of mine to hit the top spot, of course, getting one over. We had quite a few Dutch drivers taking part in Q3. We got quite a few Dutch drivers taking part in WOR for this final race regardless anyway. They've got such a hench lineup in the Netherlands, certainly, not to mention one of them being a world champion, to say the least. So, you know, it's going to be a very tight and testy affair. Plenty of great drivers here racing tonight. We know that Uppbeat can do an alternate strategy here, Andy, and he's going to have to pull a severe one off here tonight.
No doubt about it, George is going to have to get the elbows out. I wonder if he's got that wheel issue fixed. That's going to be really key for him if he wants to be strong in this Grand Prix. But no doubt about it, George, it's set up brilliantly for a really exciting finale to the season. That's exactly what we want. And yeah, Josh Idaho. George, I cannot tell you how happy I am to see this man back at the very front. It feels like it's been so long. So pleased. It's been since the Xbox days when I was back commentating on him. I last seen him up here fighting for pole position. And I'm so happy to see it, George. That was the last time I seen him when I've been commentating on him up at the front. Here he is, front row alongside Dinoso. Great to see. Simon Weigang up there in third place as well. George, I honestly feel like I've went in a time machine and gone back to my Xbox days seeing these two back at the front. Incredible, brilliant.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because despite their young age, their youthfulness and all of that, they've been in the series, they've been in the game, they've been in league racing for years and years. So despite being young, they've got probably the most experience of anybody, Andy. You know, isn't that extraordinary, to say the least?
Absolutely, George. It's extraordinary, and it's so refreshing to see. You know, we always talk about the youngsters coming through, the Jake Benhams coming through, all the young drivers coming through, the John Evanses, and then it's good once in a while to see that these guys who are still young themselves have still got it, And Josh Idaho, Simon Weigang, great to see them up there. Dinoso as well, he's been there for years, hasn't he? You spoke about it earlier, George. 2017 fought Brendan Lee all the way. And yeah, so Ruthless Business Esports, time goes quickly, and you can very quickly be swallowed up by it. But no, these guys, you know, always there. Class is permanent, and they're showing it once again. 3 of them filling the front 3 places. Brilliant stuff. But what can Uppbeat do from 14th, George? Could be very exciting.
Certainly will be. Hang on to your hats, folks. This is the final race in WOR. We want to hear from you. Who is winning the World Online Racing Brazilian Grand Prix? No better racing here than WOR. So stay with us. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. But get ready for this grand finale at Interlagos. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. Josh Idaho doesn't get the cleanest of jumps. But I tell you who does. It's Dinoso. Dinoso down the inside who goes wheel to wheel with the Welshman. Heads into the center S's. Idaho hits the front. Idaho hits the front. There's a bit of battle going on between Chalakichi and Manius van Erven. Simon Weigang holds on to P3. Jake Benham now begins to fight on Chalakichi. Into the next left into Cidia Delago. But Idaho leads. Dinoso in second. Weigang in third. Van Erven in fourth, Andy.
Absolutely incredible. Looked like Josh Idaho was going to get mugged off the line. He said absolutely not. Hung it round the outside, regained the inside for turn 2 and clung on, and the Welshman retains his lead. Big loser, Chanakinsi down 2 places. Jake Benham up 2 places. All happening on the opening lap, George.
Yeah, drama already. Stachelek down 3 places. Uppbeat overtakes him. Yano's on a flyer here. As you can see them going 2 by 2. It's like Noah's Ark in the middle sector. Yano Uppbeat already up into 12th place. In ahead as well. You can see Chalakichi, Joost Noordijk moving his way up the field as well. What an extraordinary move to piece in this man has had. But he's not done yet, because Jordan Poland now hops on the rear wing of this man in the Mercedes, the Aston Martin now. Rooms up on the inside, into the center S as they go. Can he hold on to it as they come through? It's Joost Noordijk. Noordijk holds on.
Yeah, Noordijk holds on, all happening in the midfield, George. It's pretty calm at the front. Idaho leads from Dinoso, Weigang, Van Erven, and then Jake Benham with Chalakichi right hot on his heels, the closest of everyone in that top 6. But it's all happening behind.
It certainly is. Jari Vitz and Floris Veers almost showing us a little bit of a replay to what happened between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Floris Veers taking a venture off the circuit at turn 4. But Uppbeat is up into P11, Andy. P11. He is on a charge.
Yep, calm, cool, collected, might be on the slower medium tyre, but he's slowly making his way through, calm and methodical. That's what he has to do in these early laps, stay out of trouble, and he plays the long game. And when will the rain arrive? Doesn't look like it's going to rain anytime soon, George. There's not a cloud in the sky.
All I'm seeing is picture perfect sky blue right now, Andy, and that says a lot for this race, that's for sure. Certainly a lot of question marks as to whether we were going to get wet weather, but you can see now them all cascading down through towards the centre S's, and in behind as well, plenty of them hustling and bustling now into these very treacherous downhill curves. Very shortly, around the Retro poster they will go. Manus van Erven in P3 with Simon Weigang 7 to 8 tenths of a second back behind him. Jordan Poland in a fight of his own, heading into the next lap now with DRS enabled. We're going to be seeing plenty more overtakes heading into the mid part of this race.
Yeah, we sure are, George. Looks like Simon Weigang struggling a little bit for pace at the minute. He's got Jake Benham, Chana Kenchi all over the back of him in these early laps. Simon, who's obviously dropped a place, Van Erven in front of that, up 2 as well. But it looks very, very close behind Simon Weigang. Jake Benham, Chana Kenchi looking very racy in there and looking to make that move. Now that DRS has been activated, only 3 men in the entire field where they started, the top 2, and Jeffrey Ritchie in P10. Everyone making moves in the grid.
Certainly are making moves. It's certainly their middle names. Chana Kenchi now in P6, starting to get closer and closer to Jake Benham, who's currently slotting into P5. DRS train is now fully activated. But I tell you what, there's a battle for the lead, as we're now seeing Fabrizio Donoso in the front with Josh Idawu into P2. Now extraordinary scenes. The gap now stagnating at 3 tenths. Jeffrey Ritchie as well in the midst of a fight as well. They head into the centre S's together. Jordan Poland now trying to fight back here at the Alpha Tauri. Joost Noordijk moving up a place, but here comes Jordan Poland again, trying to gain on him. In behind you can see Jarno Opmeer taking a wide line as Jari Fitz as well as pandemonium here in Brazil, Andy.
Pandemonium, absolutely no surprises, George. It's a great track for esports, great track for overtaking. Part of the reason it was the final race of the esports season, no less. And interesting to see no moves being made between Weigang, Benham and Akinci. We saw a move for the lead, we weren't expecting it. They swapped round, Donoso and Idawu, but at the minute, no change further back. Chana Kenchi right on the tail of Jake Benham. No sign of the move yet, but it's all happening just on the fringes at the top 10, George, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. It certainly is. It's a huge battle heading into the top 10 places. Jordan Poland once again left frustrated, and he's stuck behind Jeffrey Ritchie. There is a huge battle ensuing between these two, and look at the exit speed with the Aston Martin. Pressures alongside the Alpha Tauri. It was almost as if he wasn't even there, but this time Jeffrey Ritchie will have a chance. Heading into the centre S's, tries to get the slipstream in. Very violent move, heading into the left. You can just see him twisting the car so aggressively, but Joost Noordijk now could be under pressure. Jordan Poland now, who is looking to seek revenge here on the Mercedes, down in towards turn 4. Will he open up the door this time? No, being a little bit more patient. He's going to hold on to P9 for now, but he might choose to take P8 later on.
Incredible, George. Those guys on the fringes of the top 10. What a battle they've had over the first 5 laps. Jarno Opmeer onto the tail. He'll be approaching that one with caution on those medium tyres, because they are fighting like crazy. Joost Noordijk, Jordan Poland, Jeffrey Ritchie all in a massive scrap on the fringes of the top 10. Strangely, George, no moves in the top 60 since the DRS was activated, which is a bit of a surprise. I'm expecting to see some moves, but they are playing the long game, taking it calmly at the minute. Let's see how Jarno Opmeer tries to negotiate these few cars.
Well, we did have that one battle for the lead. I think we did have Donoso and Idawu coming together, and Idawu might fancy another go here as he now moves up on the inside line, heading in towards turn 1. There's a rumble in the Ronda again as Josh Idawu takes the lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Again, another twist in the tail here at Interlagos. Donoso down into P2. Manus van Erven still hunting in P3. A very, very sensible gap between those 3 drivers, with Simon Weigang out to 7.5 to 8 tenths of a second in behind in 4th place.
Yeah, looking very interesting. Looks at the front 3 at the minute, George. Idawu, Donoso, Van Erven, they just look that little bit quicker at the minute. I think Jake Benham, Chana Kenchi, they'll be hoping to get ahead of Simon Weigang. By all means, Weigang is hanging in there. He's within DRS. I just got a wee feeling he's struggling to cling on to them and, fight to maybe make a move in front of him. Maybe looking in his mirrors a little bit more often, but we'll have to wait and see. But Van Erven, who himself was looking a little bit sluggish, was around 7 or 8 tenths off the back of this duo, is now close right in on the back of them. So let's see how it pans out on the next lap, as we're about to start the 7th lap out of 30 seconds. We have our first time penalty, Flores Fears, 3 seconds off the warnings.
Yeah, Yeah, they're just getting settled now, getting right into the breadth of things. Certainly here in lap 6 of 36, or now lap 7 of 36, should we say, as once again getting closer to the rear of Idaho is Donoso. We're seeing a little bit of a battle going on between Flores Villas and of course Jari Fitz as well. Jarno Opmeer up into P11, half a second away from Jeffrey Ritchie, and I get the feeling that he's just waiting. Jarno Opmeer waiting for that first pit stop, Andy. I get the feeling there is definitely some, certainly the clocks are working in the mind of Jarno Opmeer right now.
Yeah, we know how high his IQ is. We've seen it so many times in esports. He always seems to pull off the master stroke. And why should he be worried at this stage, George? Why should he be? Everyone in front of him is within a 1 second of each other. In fact, everyone in front of him is within half a second of each other. You can literally see the leader in certain corners of the racetrack. No need to get rash, no need to go diving down the inside and risk damage. Play the long game. And that's exactly what Jarno Opmeer intends to do. He's already seen how ferociously those guys in front of him fighting over 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. So what's the need to damage the tyres? Just sit there at the minute. There's not really that much to gain up in front at the minute, is there?
No, not at all. Patience is a virtue, not a privilege. Here at WOR, it's not anyway. Just look at Magnus Van Erven as well, getting so close as Jarno Opmeer now moves up into P10. Incredible as we now see Jeffrey Ritchie move into the pit lane. Donoso trying to rear up here on Josh Idaho, trying to maintain the train, trying to be patient. Maybe some energy conservation, maybe some tyre conservation as well in behind that. Matthias Van Erven in P3, just waiting to see what changes happen at the top end. He's just waiting cautiously at this moment in time. Simon Weigang moving back into the centre of things now. 3/10 back from Matthias Van Erven. Jake Benham in behind him too. Chad McKinchie has also joined the fight. The field is starting to get backed up a little bit now, Andy. Are they all just slowing down in the front? Is there a little bit of conservation going on here?
Well, it's an interesting one, George, because Jeffrey Ritchie's bailed out already from the softs. He's gone to mediums, maybe till that rain spell comes. So is everybody in front of Jarno Opmeer going to have to do the exact same thing and do it right now? Or do these guys, as you say, as they back each other up, are they just going to try and string these softs out as long as they can? Any sign of anyone coming into the pits this time, Mike? Doesn't look like it. So maybe the pace is slow at the front because they're all just trying to string it out, George. That might be the case if they head across the line to start another lap. Can they string it out to the rain on softs? Hard to see, George, because at the minute the sky is still blue.
Yeah, absolutely. Still blue, no signs of rain. I tell you what, if it comes, it'll be a dramatic one. We've lost Ruben Pedreño, who's retired. Yellow flags in Sector 3 and now into Sector 1. He's retired in the pit lane. Anton Desalewski is also retired as well. But you can just see that they're nose to tail. The gap thinner than a fly's eyelash once again, folks, here in lap 9 of 36. Still a long way to go, though, as Jake Benham starts to get closer and closer on the rear of Simon Weigang right now. Just under 3/10. It's now being drawn up to 3/10 now, and you can just see him nearly touching the rear wing of that Alfa Romeo in the McLaren, of course. Big battle for the championship as well in the constructors' side, and it's looking good for McLaren at the moment, Andy.
Yeah, it sure is looking very good with Josh Idaho in the lead of this Grand Prix, but that can change very quickly because Jarno Opmeer looking very strong on those mediums, George. The way this is panning out, this is looking good for the medium runners, I have to say so. Unless they can string it out. Here comes Donoso. We're going to have another switch for the lead across the start-finish line. Donoso down the inside and retakes the lead of the Grand Prix at the start of lap 10.
Yeah, very cool, calm and collected by Fabrizio Donoso. And again, another exchange for top
Benham's
spot.
spilled out.
And we've seen Benham now. Benham in the pit lane, so that's intriguing. Opted to pit here on lap 10 of 36. That's probably the right time to box the softs, I would say. So I'd imagine a very, very routine stop here for Jake Benham. We've got plenty of others though making their way through. You can see the medium tyres starting to get into the top 10 now. All this slowing down is helping Jarno Opmeer out. Of course, he is one of those on the mediums. He is currently in 9th spot, Andy, hot on the heels of Jordan Poland, and his teammate Joost Noordijk is just ahead of him as well. So great battle we could see here towards the end of this race.
Jarno Opmeer is in a very, very strong position, George. If it rains just before he needs to pit from these medium tyres, he could be in a fantastic position. He could get a free pit stop out of it. If it doesn't, it equalises things out. If it doesn't rain till later on, we'll have to wait and see. But all these soft runners are going to have to bail out and stick a set of mediums on right now. Jake Benham's already done that, as has Jeffrey Ritchie. Anyone else coming into the pits on this lap? Yes, Louis Welch, the Pad King, is in.
Yeah, and so is Jordan Poland now, and he will now box for Aston Martin. That gives Jarno Opmeer a chance now. Again, he's close on his teammate. He'll still have DRS. So Jarno's not losing out as far as the DRS is concerned, so he still have the pace, and he'll stay on the heels of his teammate Joost Noordijk as well. We can see still a lot of flittering around going on in the front order. You can see the gaps in between each of these drivers right now, 2 to 3 tenths of a second. Very even pace right now as Chanakinchi gets closer and closer to Simon Weigang. I tell you what, very tense to be an Alfa Romeo driver right now, because Simon Weigang looks like he's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he's under an awful lot of pressure, George. As Jake Benham, by the way, he's ahead of Louis Welch and Jordan Poland after those pit stops quite handsomely. So let's wait and see if this will trigger a few more drivers into the pit. Simon Weigang, as you say, under a lot of pressure as they all sweep down the hill. To be fair, they're all bunched right up now, such as this pace at the front. Even Opmia right on the tail of the medium tyre. Things beginning to fall his way, and pretty soon these 6 cars in front of him, that half dozen, are all going to peel off into the pits, and he's in some clean air to stretch the stint out. And anyone in this lap, Chanakinchi is in this lap. Yeah, and so is Joost Noordijk as well, so that'll move Opmia into P5 now. And he's going to have to now stay true, and well, he's now out by a second, so he won't have DRS on Simon Weigang. So that's a relief as far as Simon is concerned, as we now watch the pit stop made by the Alpine, and he's lost, I think, did he lose? No, he didn't lose the position there. It got so close, it looked like he might have lost the position in the pit lane there, Andy, which would have been crucial. Yeah. Where are they in relation to Benham and Cole? Let's wait and see as they come out the pit lane. Then Chanakinchi and Jordan Poland. Benham's ahead. Jordan Poland is just in front of Chanakinchi, and Joost Noordijk in behind, agonisingly. Louis Welch doesn't quite get in front of them as it all sorts himself out for those guys that started on the soft tire. Yeah, boxing 2 laps early for Jake Benham has certainly helped him there. But you can see now a move, yeah, certainly for Chanakinchi down the inside of the Ferragura. Can he clock it as they now go wheel to wheel through towards the next right-hander this time? And as they do so, now down through the next left at the Pirorino. Oh, so close there, but Jordan Poland hanging on by a hair's breadth. They got so close between him and Akinci, but what a scrap for that P13 spot. No, I love it, George. Always a pleasure to watch drivers battle in that part of the track. Great to see it again. Clean stuff, and Jordan Poland holding on. We'll get 3 more in the pits. Donoso, Idaho and Van Everett. Where are they going to be in relation to the guys that pitted earlier? Will Benham be ahead or behind?
Well, I got to say, Andy, if you look at Opmia now, he's within DRS of Simon Weigang, so he is going to close up. Huge chance now for Opmia to get a huge tow. Benham now comes through the centre S's. He's now going to be passing the paddock lane. He's well clear, Andy.
Yeah, he's jumped all of them then by pitting that little bit earlier. Jake Benham leaps ahead of several cars then, and would be essentially the net leader. Should we not get rain until after before Jarno Opmia's pit stop? So incredible. Benham leaping ahead of Donoso, Idaho and Akinci.
Amazing moment, Andy. It's certainly a very, very strong move from Benham to box early and do the undercut. He's done it well. He's managed to gap all these cars that were ahead of him, and now he takes net lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix. A very, very good strategy call there from Jake Benham. Jarno Opmia now into half a second in behind Simon Weigang. Those two are still scrapping for this lead advantage, but Opmia, I'd imagine, just happy to have the DRS of Simon Weigang just to keep the pace going in his tyres right now. Here comes Jake Benham now around the next left. Fabrizio Donoso looking to maybe overtake Jake Benham here, the WOR PC champion. Here comes Donoso down the inside now as the pit window opens up, this time for the soft tyres. You can see they've all boxed early, so that just goes to show how early they boxed, Andy.
No, but I'm liking what Simon Weigand's doing here, George. I think he's stretching this out so he can put another set of soft tyres on and come back at them. So that's interesting. A split decision. So many drivers bailing out early, but Simon Weigang going long so he can put a second set of soft tyres on before the rain arrives. Interesting split strategy there from Simon.
It certainly is. Will it work? That is the big question.
That's the question, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bold question, but in behind, Jarno Opmia is currently on his tail and peppering the rear of that Alfa Romeo. Of course, his former team, back from a season before where he won his first F1 Esports Championship. We saw him quite consistently in league racing as well, but he'll have no qualms at all in making moves. As now we can see Simon Weigang down the straight. Here comes Jarno Opmia now for the lead in this race, at least for now, and he does take P1 and goes ahead of Simon Weigang. Now he needs to gap him, get clear, utilise the clean air and effectively box off those medium tyres.
Yeah, this is looking very strong in the minute for Jarno Opmia, but they're going to be reeling him in at quite some rate, aren't they? But obviously those guys that boxed are still going to have to clear all those guys on old mediums though, aren't they? So it's going to be a tall order. Things looking good for Opmia at the minute. I'm really interested to see how it works out for Weigang when he pits for another set of softs, George. Will he? Oh, he's obviously going to lose track position to all those other drivers, but will he be able to pass them again? That's the question. Interesting one.
Well, the dynamic duo of Jake Benham and Josh Idawu are now once again parked closely together, P's 10 and 11. In behind, you can see there that Josh Idawu is just waiting patiently, still in behind his teammate. Donoso still holds on to the net lead of this race, considering pit stops applied so far in this race. Lap 15 of 36, not even near the halfway point in this race just yet. Currently sitting a few laps away from that right now. Still Uppbeat in front. Simon Weigang in P2. Currently the gap remains at 7/10 of a second. Comes into 5/10 now. So there must be a few changes heading into the center S's. No, not this time. Weigang still forced to stay in behind in P2. Jari Fitz now moves up into P3 himself as well. So the man in the Williams also looking to push now with Floris Viers in behind him. They can't afford to squabble though, because it's only going to bring the gap back down again, Andy. And here comes Floris again. Yeah,
Floris down the inside, gets it done, back in front of Jari Fitz. Will be kicking himself with that time penalty. Well, Floris Viers, but he is getting himself in front of Jari Fitz, and now he can charge up the road. But pretty soon, he's going to be hunted down by those guys on fresh medium. Still no pit stop from Simon Weigang. How much longer is he planning to go, George?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, incredible that he's managed to keep himself within the DRS window of Jarno Wotmir for this long. It's incredible, isn't it? We're just going to see him now head up towards Junsau. Is this the moment where we see Weigang box for his tyre change? We'll have to wait and see. It will mean that he'll have the freshest tyres of all if he does opt to go onto the mediums, of course, as he now marks his way down through towards the pit lane. He does choose to box now, Andy, so he will take his pit stop now.
Well, let's see then. Will it be fresh softs for Weigang if it is going to rain near the end of the Grand Prix, or will it be mediums? Let's see what the plan is from Simon Weigang as he rolls down the pit lane, 50 miles an hour into the box. What's going on? Oh, mediums, okay, so maybe he's one stopping and maybe the threat of rain is disappearing, and maybe the others are two stopping. I've got no idea, George, but it's interesting to see.
Well, he'll have very fresh tyres towards the end of the race. I suppose that's the one plus point. He'll have plenty more to push with heading towards the end. Felipe Sousa is getting pretty much overtaken very, very easily now by the bunch. He's got faster cars in behind him. There you can see Matthias van Urban in behind him, Jake Benham and Josh Idawu and Fabrizio Donoso, all three of them getting past him here. But you can see now that Matthias van Urban is going to be the next one looking to get past the Red Bull. I got to say, it does look like to me that Sousa is struggling here. And here comes Matthias van Urban. He's got to do it now, Andy.
Yeah, this is really interesting, George, as he makes his way through now. Matthias van Urban gets his way ahead of Felipe Sousa. They're all just going to pile past. There's such a difference in the tyres. It should not be too big a problem for them. Pretty soon they'll be reeling in the likes of Jarno Wotmir. Will he reel him in before his pit stop? That's going to be the big, big question. But all these drivers making their way through. Chanikinchi now following past Felipe Sousa. And pretty soon Jordan Poland and Joost Noordijk will also follow through.
Yeah, they certainly will. Down into the centre S's. Joost Noordijk, the last of them to make his way through as well. The key factor is now, I suppose we've got to take a look at the gap between Donoso and Jarno Wotmir when he chooses to box. Yep. Is the gap going to be large enough for Wotmir to retain some semblance of the lead, or will he be a few cars behind? That is the big bold question.
Yeah, that is a massive question, George. The reason I think the rain's disappeared is Simon Weigang did 16 laps, was it, on a set of softs. Now, if you put another set of softs on, you could have done another 16 laps, and that would only have been 4 laps from the end. So that's what you would do if you were expecting rain, isn't it? So my thinking is we're not getting any rain, and the forecast was wrong. That's my assumption and what I've seen so far, George.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but still leading the charges. Jarno Wotmir yet to box, 6.2 seconds between him and Jari Fitz. Quite a gap then, all the way back to Fabrizio Donoso, who is 3.3 seconds in behind Jack Lafferty for that 5th place spot. The question is, how much is the traffic going to affect the drivers up at the front as Liam Parnell overtakes Jari Fitz into P2 here at the Centre S's. I really did get the feeling, Andy, this is the calm before the storm, as we now watch the two McLarens still chasing Fabrizio Donoso in their P7 and 8 spots. Do you just get the feeling that we're just waiting on the tips of our heels here, waiting to see what happens?
Yeah, very exciting to see what happens towards the end. Are we going to get rain? If we do, it will be in the final few laps going to what I'm seeing so far. Or is it just going to be a dry race to the end? Jarno Wotmir is going to be hunting down in the closing laps on a set of fresh soft tyres. Will he be able to get through all these cars? It will be interesting to see. Will these cars get to him before he makes his stop? So many questions to be asked. But at the minute, it's Donoso who is the net leader with Benham, Idaho and Van Erven all over the back of him. Remember, Benham pitting earlier, sacrificing tyre life for track position. Can he make it work?
Well, Otmir, the mastermind of the alternate strategy, and certainly he's going to need a few things to go his way as well to help him out towards the end. But one thing's for sure, he will have a good lineup of soft tyres now. Looking at it, the first of the medium drivers have pitted. Jari Fitz is in boxing, Andy. He is boxing. So, and I have to say, we know that Weigang took the softs 16 laps in his first stint. Otmir's got to think of boxing in the next 2 laps, I imagine.
Absolutely, and again, George, more evidence that it's not going to rain, because he would stretch it out with you on mediums. If Weigang could do 15 on softs, think how long they could go on mediums, much longer you would think. So again, more sign that it might not rain, because you would just stretch it out and get a free stop, wouldn't you? So, yeah, looks like it's going to be a dry one, George.
Certainly is. You can just see the gap now coming closer and closer between Donoso and Lafferty now into 3 seconds. And he's got to get clear of Lafferty very, very quickly. Does not want to be held up by the AlphaTauri, but effectively they're still battling for track position. So is Lafferty going to be as kind of the fact to let another driver through? I very much doubt it. So this could very well play into the hands of the Flying Dutchman. 16 laps remain in this Brazilian Grand Prix. I can anticipate maybe 2 or 3 laps now until the Flying Dutchman opts to box. The question is, will the strategy work? Please list your comments in the live chat, folks. Can Otmir pull it off?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. George is going to have to pit and get through all these cars. It's going to be interesting to see as Jack Lafferty jumps out of the way. Good news for these guys. One less car for them to negotiate. And yeah, if we're going to see the likes of Parnell and Martinez and Otmir in the pit soon, that will free all these guys up. And they won't need to go past those cars. And it looks like that might be the case, because Donoso says full 2.7 off the back of Martinez. I think by the time he gets there, those guys will be out of the way and in the pit lane, and then we'll see Charles coming from the armlock. Very exciting, George. Do not go anywhere, folks. This is going to be edge of the seat stuff in the closing laps.
Well, based on the gaps we can see from the leaders, you can see that Donoso 8.7 coming into 8.5 now away from Jarno Otmir. So it's going to be interesting. Can he take it all away? Is he going to be able to get close enough? I'm pretty sure if Jarno boxes, Donoso will have absolute lead of this race. But a key fact remains that the fact that Jarno could figure in behind the likes of his teammate. If this continues, I've got a feeling there could be a strong fight between Joost Noordijk and Otmir. I'm wondering whether he'll come out in between Joost Noordijk and Simon Weigang, Andy.
Well, that's the big question, as John Martinez has got himself ahead of Liam Parnell out there on the racetrack, by the way, on that strategy. But yeah, that's a massive thing, Josh, because Simon Weigang is on fresh mediums, so it won't be as easy to pass him. So if he can get ahead of him by the time he makes his stop, that could be massive for Jarno Otmir in his quest to win this race, because Simon Weigang, on paper, will be the hardest to overtake of them all. His mediums are only 4 laps on.
Yeah, absolutely. Joost Noordijk now having a fight with Jordan Poland, wheel to wheel around the next left. They're going to come up towards the Ferradura, and Joost Noordijk up into P9. Jordan Poland resuming the fight they had earlier on in the very start of this Grand Prix. They've resumed it here at the midway point into the final point, heading around the Ferradura, and it's Joost Noordijk once again who's on top. He did it in great style, Andy.
Yeah, no doubt about it, by the way. Otmir will be behind Weigang. There's only 13 seconds between them at the minute, so he will be behind Simon Weigang when he stops. He's probably going to be around Jari Fitz when he makes that pit stop, I think. We'll wait and see. Of course, you do cut the entire turn 1, don't you, after your stop, so we'll have to wait and see where he does rejoin. But he will be behind Simon Weigang, I think, George. And if that is the case, it's going to be a tough job overtaking him. If he can do that quickly, he's got a real chance. As Donoso's down the inside and clear of Liam Parnell, and that's important.
Look at the sky, Andy. Look at the sky. Is it getting grey up there? Very interesting. I'm starting to see things, Andy. This could be a really interesting finale. We've just seen Donoso now dispatch Liam Parnell, and look at the rear end as well. You can see that Jake Benham also coming into the fight with Josh Idaho as well. We've got a huge scrap now. A lot of these cars now having to fight their way through the field, and already a late move here from Jake Benham. He does move it on the inside, heading around. That was daring. It was brave, but they remain wheel to wheel.
Well, I've got to say, it's so strange to see, to understand why some of these drivers pitted early for soft tyres when they could just hold out the mediums till the rain comes. I just don't get it. Now the big question is, will Uppbeat be caught by Donoso before they switch to inters? That's the key question.
It certainly is the key question. Here comes Donoso now on Tom Martinez down the inside now, heading past the paddock. The Alpine hits ahead. They're on Tom Martinez now, still wheel to wheel. We got a 3-wide situation as well, with Josh Idawu coming into the fight as he now goes wheel to wheel with Matthias Van Erven. This is a fight on track for actual position. Van Erven now right to the slipstream on the run, the Welshman, as they come down the stretch now into the City of Delago. Is he going to find a way through? Not this time. And Benham good ahead of Martinez.
I tell you what, George, I think Jarno Uppbeat has nailed the strategy. I don't think Donoso's going to catch him before the rain arrives. This is looking very good for him. We'll have to wait and see. It's all in the hands of the gods in the sky, George. It's all down to that. Who's called this right and who's called it wrong?
Yeah, and you're going to see once again Van Erven having a go this time at Josh Idawu. Still scrapping now as they come through towards the next right. And Van Erven hits up into P5 and dispatches Josh Idawu. Incredible moment. And the raindrops coming down, Andy. Do we spy rain?
Not yet, George, not for me, not yet, but it's coming. You can see it, the wind picking up, the trees are starting to blow, the jackets, the coats are going on in the grandstands. How soon until the rain falls? Will Donoso get there in time before the change to inters?
We'll have to wait and see, but once again Van Erven going ahead, this time of Martinez up into P4. We have to wait and see as to what happens, folks. We're on the end, we're on the tips of our toes here, waiting to see what happens. Again Martinez under pressure. Here comes Idawu now, round the outside, heading in towards the next left of the City of Delago. He gets ahead of him as well, and now we're seeing the faster cars make their way through after completing their stops. The question is, what has that done to the tyre life, Andy?
This is incredible. I'm loving reading the chat in a minute, George. The hype, they're on the edge of their seats. Is that rain I see? No, you're not seeing rain yet. Believe me, I can see why you're thinking it. It's getting so dark outside the commentary box window. What is going to happen? Will Donoso get to Uppbeat in time? Or is Jarno Uppbeat with that free pit stop pulling off a masterclass?
Yeah, I tell you what, they're all speculating, Andy. Everyone is speculating. Is it raining? Is it going to rain? Everyone's asking. We're just seeing them now make their way through. Uppbeat is staying out again. He feels something in the air, Andy. There's something twitching on the end of his tongue. Could there be some raindrops coming down?
Oh, not yet, but he'll be praying for rain because Donoso, that small speck in the distance, is becoming a very big blue blob. He wants rain now, right now. All he wants for Christmas is rain.
Absolutely. Someone get the Met Office on the phone. We need a determined factor here. Is it going to rain at Brazil here? Incredible. Uppbeat still leads. A gap of 3.3 seconds. He's got to have done this for a reason. He has to have stayed out for a reason. 10 laps remain in this Grand Prix. And of course, Jarno Uppbeat can see a roaming Donoso in behind him now. That Alpine is getting closer and closer and closer. He has got very little choice. He'll have to box soon. He needs to know if the rain is coming out. It's a huge question mark right now, Andy.
Tell you what, George, I'm putting my hand outside the commentary box window. Still no raindrops falling on my hands. It's still dry out there. No one reaching for the umbrellas just yet as Donoso cuts the gap to 2.7. Drama in Brazil in the final race. What a finale.
Absolutely, it's going to be very, very interesting as now we see Uppbeat heads down into the next left, and there's his tyre life, folks. 67% to 66, 72s on the right, 73s as well. A huge differential between him and Donoso. There you could see that his tyres are starting to come into play now. He's whittling away, chopping the wood at that delta gap between him and Donoso. I tell you what, there could be a huge, bold story happening here, Andy, as we're seeing lots of movement in the midfield.
Those tyres are going to be absolutely destroyed, George. They wouldn't pass an MOT. Unbelievable. 70-odd% for Uppbeat. They cannot be far from bursting. And he must be on the edge of his seat, praying for rain. Absolutely begging for it as Donoso closes in to 1.7. Wow.
I tell you what, I don't know what we're going to be seeing, folks. I tell you what, brace yourselves. We're going to be in, as I said before, a hellacious ride. It's lap 27 to 36. It only takes one drop. That's all he needs to see. Jarno Uppbeat now still leading. He's going to be patient again. Will he box? I don't think so. He's staying out. He's feeling it, Andy. I swear to God, he's feeling it.
He's certainly feeling it. 27 laps on the mediums, 70% on the tyres. Puncture territory. He will be crying his eyes out, desperate for rain, just like his tyres. Donoso 1.2. He's right there. He's almost in DRS territory. Will Uppbeat's tyres last till the rain arrives? Will the rain even arrive? Wow.
Well, we just don't know, Andy. We just simply do not know. Jake Benham in P3 trying to hunt down on Fabrizio Donoso. Donoso is within a second. Have we lost one?
Tom Puncture. His tyres died. He had to pit for new softs. Uppbeat must be on the brink. And there's the rain. There is the rain. Just when he needed it. Light drizzle beginning to fall. Uppbeat must be on the brink of a puncture.
Does he have to go another lap, though, Andy? Does he have to go another lap? He can't surely box now.
He has to go another lap, George, but he risks puncturing the tyres, so it might be risk v reward. Worth just coming into the pits. Donoso is now right there. Wow.
Yeah, but he'll have a chance here heading down the straight. Now this could be one of the biggest moments in the Brazilian Grand Prix, as now we see Fabrizio Donoso right alongside the Flying Dutchman Jarno Uppbeat, and does take the lead of the race, as you would expect given the tie life right now. Uppbeat just needs to hold on to his hat. We're going to see a huge battle towards the end. The question is, Andy, will they all box or will they all stay out?
They're going to have to pit at some point. The rain will get heavier, but will Jarno get to the end of the lap without getting a puncture? 28 laps on the mediums is madness. It's absolute madness.
It is madness. I tell you what, we just don't know what's going to happen, folks. There you can see Uppbeat starting to feel every bit of grip in these tyres. Needs to handle any bit of grip that he has left in this compound. It's going to be extraordinary, sensational. It's a race in a million, a drama that we've waited for all season long. What a finale. Donoso leads, Uppbeat in second, Benham in third. Huge question marks as to the strategy in this race, but the track is getting damper and damper, and very shortly he'll be wanting a swimming pool at certain points of this circuit. Just look at that tyre life, Andy.
It's absolutely incredible tyre life. How is it still going without puncturing? And he's going for another lap. Balls of steel from Jarno Uppbeat. How are the tyres not punctured yet? Incredible. I'll be painting on the canvas of those tyres soon. We'll be seeing the canvas of the tyre very, very soon. How is he still staying out there? Jake Benham is next on his tail.
Well, he is indeed, and just look at that, and there's going to be no squabbling over this position change. Here comes Jake Benham. He's going to make a move heading into the city of Delago, and smoothly does it indeed. And in behind as well, you can see Josh Heidemann coming into the fight with Matthias van Erven as well. I tell you what, we're going to have to keep an eye and see what Donoso does. Does he choose to stay out? Jarno obviously going for the wet strategy. He's waiting. He needs more rain, and I get the feeling he's going to have to make a decision soon. Is it going to be a case that he pits now? Because I've got to say, those tyres are looking very, very grim, but the rain is coming down harder, Andy.
Yeah, he's got to commit to Inter soon, otherwise his race is going to be destroyed. He has to commit to Inter soon, but the track is still very dry. Surely this lap he goes for Inter's. 30 laps now about to be on this tyre. He's got to pit, he's got to change, or will he just stay out and go for it? I've got no idea what I would do in this situation. Is he coming in? No, he's not. He's going for another one.
Yeah, and here comes Josh Heidemann as well, makes his way down the inside here, and will take P3 smoothly as you like. Matthias van Erven has got to pass Uppbeat because he cannot afford to lose DRS on that man Josh Heidemann as well, because they're battling for a podium as much as Uppbeat wants to fight for a podium as well, as they head down the retro poster into the city of Delago. Van Erven gets into P4, Uppbeat now in P5. He's got to box, Andy, he's got to box.
Yeah, Vigang and just Nordic battling like crazy. Jordan Powell in there too. Look at this, George. It's incredible.
It is indeed. Just looking at the droplets of foam, you can see the track starting to get a little bit darker with the water now making contact with the tarmac. We're getting to that point in the race now, folks. I get the feeling that it's now. Uppbeat has got to box. He has got to box. It cannot go on much longer, Andy.
How is the tyre not punctured? How is the tyre still intact? I don't get it. I simply don't get it. Oh, rear end sliding there. Is he got a puncture now? No, I think he's still okay and carrying on his way. Is he coming into the pits on this lap? Looks like it. He's having to commit. Here comes Jarno Uppbeat into the pits for a set of intermediate tyres.
Right, key point now, Donoso is not boxed either. He is not boxed. So will Jarno make it work here on Inters? He's going for the softs. No tyres, no change in the tyres. He's staying on slicks, Andy.
What? Well, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And he comes, soft tyres on. The rain simply was not heavy enough for a set of intermediate tyres. That's absolutely incredible. It's not worked out for Jarno Opmeer. We thought he had nailed it. It's not worked out. He's not even going to score a point, George. Incredible.
No, it's destroyed his strategy. It's destroyed his strategy. It must have only been a sprinkling of rain. We all came into this, we heard the rain was going to dominate this session in the race. We have yet to see much of it, and already I'm not seeing a lot of droplets falling. At this moment in time, Donoso is in perfect position to win this Grand Prix. You can see there Idawu has already managed to get ahead of Benham on his medium tyres, and Maris van Erven is hot on his rear as well, Andy.
Yeah, incredible. So Opmeer not going to get a single point now after all of this. And Donoso has this in the bag. It's going to be quite the scrap though to complete the podium. Matthias van Erven right on the back of Jake Benham as they go down towards turn one. Not close enough for the move, and this is looking very good for McLaren in the constructors.
Yeah, this will win them the constructors out on track, folks. Jake Benham looking to add a constructors title along with the drivers championship that he's won this season. The all-star Jake Benham with an all-star performance once again. Can he add yet another auspicious reward that he would have earned here in WOR here again today, or is Maris van Erven going to take a podium off him here this time as Benham defends, heading around the Ferradura? It's getting so tight between these two. Will van Erven send it? He does send it! Extraordinary wheel-to-wheel action. The ass of Matthias van Erven scrapping here with Jake Benham, Andy.
Absolutely brilliant stuff, right on the limit between the two. It's like Hamilton and Verstappen style aggression between them, but Benham holds on. This will be for second, because remember, Josh Idawu has that time penalty, so they are scrapping over the runners-up spot on the podium.
Certainly are. Benham now rounding Junsao corner with Maris van Erven in behind as well. Nose to tail very, very shortly. DRS will become available for Matthias van Erven. Will he choose to open up the wing and go for the send into the center S's? It's now whatever he feels, because he needs to get into the DRS for Josh Idawu. He goes round the outside of Jake Benham, heading in towards turn one. It's still Benham, but Matthias van Erven gets out of him here as they now streak down this, heading down towards the city of Delago, out to the retro poster. It's Matthias van Erven in P3.
Tell you what, eagle eyes servers on the WOR account. Simon Weigang catching on the freshest tyres of all. George, the long game now beginning to pay off, gaining on a driver, Jake Benham, who's on 7 lap older tyres. Simon Weigang bringing himself into play for a potential second place here.
Well, he's 1.4 seconds away from Jake Benham, and what a drive. Remember, he boxed, well, I think it must have been 4 laps later than everyone else. It was extraordinary.
Yes,
he went
7 than Benham.
Yeah, 7 more than Benham, so he'll have a lot more tyre life than anyone up at the top end. This is extraordinary racing.
Yeah, Simon Weigang pulling off a brilliant strategy, and he's now reeling these guys in and is threatening a second place here. What a strategy this could be for him. Can he complete the job with just 2 laps to go? Will he get close enough to make that move? He'll certainly catch them. It's one thing to catch, another thing to make the move.
It certainly is. He's got to make it happen. In behind, you can see there that Weigang, 1.4 seconds behind. It's been sapped into 1.3, 1.2, 1.1. Weigang going for it here, certainly on these newer tyres as they head down now the retro poster into the city of Delago now. Still Idawu leading this string of cars. If one thing's for sure, Andy, Donoso in full fettle that he should win this Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah, he should have it in the bag. He's nailed the strategy, got it right, built the gap. Fantastic performance from Fabrizio Donoso. 1.5 laps to go for the Chilean, and he's going to complete the job for Alpine in fine style. But behind that, we've got no idea who's going to be second. We have no idea who has the penalty. Will it be Van Erven? Will it be Benham? Or will it be the late charge from Simon Weigang, who's going to go gang-ho to try and get second place?
This rain is looking very aggressive, Andy. It hasn't gone away. I'm a little bit concerned. It does look a bit heavier, doesn't it? It does look a little heavier. Extraordinary. We're not going to be seeing some spinalas out on track now by any chance.
I tell you what, they're going to be threatening a few aquaplaning moments, a few cars going off the track in this final lap. This is going to get pretty dramatic as we start the final lap of the Grand Prix. Is that clock going slowly? That's coming to mind, George.
I'm getting that feeling, Andy. I'm getting that absolute feeling. I'll tell you what, it's almost like we've turned the clock back in time and re-watching the Alstatius Grand Prix. But Fabrizio Donoso, who is still leading the charge, you can see the time lapse difference between him and Idawu, as now we're seeing Van Herven now getting close. Oh, Weigang out wide of turn 4, and again requisite to Verstappen and Hamilton.
Yeah, here comes Weigang down the inside though, and Benham into Ferradura, has a little look, can't quite do it. We've got a yellow flag out there. Who's gone off? Not too sure. Weigang down the inside, gets it done on Benham. Can he get Van Herven before the flag?
Yeah, Floris Viers has retired for the session. Nose to tail between Weigang and Benham as they come through. Joost Noordijk fancying a go as well, and Jake Benham too as they come around the next right now. It is going to be Donoso who comes out of Judd South corner very shortly, heads around in the Alpine. A grandiose race. What a performance. Donoso here returning to WOR, fresh from F1 Esports. Heads past Yaki Bancadas, and he is going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix Grand Finale here at WOR. Extraordinary race, extraordinary drive. What a sensational Brazilian Grand Prix, Andy.
That was absolutely wild. Jarno Opmeer does get in the points after all that. Finishes in 8th. What a race. What drama with the weather. Donoso does it in Brazil, in his home continent. Gets it done. P1 for him. Van Herven second. What a drive from Simon Weigang. What a strategy it was. Charged back through into third. Benham fourth. Joost Noordijk. Great performance again. He's taking to PC like a duck to water, George, isn't he?
He certainly has. A sensational performance all around as well. And it's the frequent names that we see regularly fighting at the top end. Donoso in his WOR return here tonight. He takes the victory here with Matthias Van Herven in second, Simon Weigang in third place. What a drive from Simon. He made his strategy work, Andy. It was an excellent effort. We all questioned it. We didn't think it was going to pay off, but Weigang providing clutch at the last minute.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. So many different strategies at play. Oh, what a race, George. What a way to finish. Absolutely excellent stuff. And Weigang with a different strategy. Opmeer thought he made it work. It looked like it was a strong strategy for so long, and then it ended up being the worst of them all. And he ends up down in 8th place. So good, so exciting, so enjoyable. Well done, Fabrizio Donoso. He got it right, and he had the pace to pull clear and win this race. Deservedly so.
Yeah, extraordinary performance, and Donoso is the winner. Matthias Van Herven coming home in second, with Simon Weigang in third. What a clinic, what a performance, what a drive in where there were so many questions as to the strategy of the race, but Donoso proving as to why he is star quality. P1 is what he gets in the final race of season 11 here in World Online Racing. What a way to finish. Matthias Van Herven in second with Simon Weigang. Extraordinary strategy selection choice. He came home in P3. Jake Benham in fourth. Joost Noordijk in fifth, with Josh Idawu. Just didn't work out for him despite starting on pole. P6. Liam Parnell in seventh, with Jarno Opmeer getting into P8. A great final lap performance from him on the fresh soft tyres. It was an improvement on his foot start moments. Did we ever expect anything quite like that, Andy? That was a grand finale, to say the least.
George, it was absolutely ridiculous. The weather conditions really provided us with drama. We had plenty of action in the first stint anyway throughout the field in the dry conditions, but the rain really brought some drama. It was really enjoyable to read the chat. People were buzzing. When's this rain going to arrive? Will Donoso get there in time? He did get there in time. In the end, the rain did not arrive in time for Jarno Opmeer, and it was only the final lap. It was time for intermediate tyres. Incredible. I'd like to have seen him try and do 35 laps on those tyres. I think they would have gone long before that and blown up. I'm still stunned that they didn't blow up sooner, George. Incredible. But what a drive from Donoso. Nailed the strategy, got it right, built the gap to the McLarens and Van Herven, completed the job. Expert drive.
Well, it was a tremendous effort, and it was one that we certainly enjoyed, to say the least. I mean, what a way to cap off a championship fight. Just did not quite work out for Jarno Opmeer at the end. Obviously trying to go long and waiting for rain, but it just did not happen for him. And we are going to be having some interviews now as well, folks. Tom97 is going to be joining us as well as we now head over to the interview room. Big thank you to everyone tuning in, by the way. It really does mean a lot to have you all with us, but we are joined by Tom97 here tonight. Tom, pleasure to have you here with us once again in the commentary box. It was pandemonium in that race. I don't think anyone quite understood where the strategy was going to go. That late rain did cause a few question marks, I think, heading out of qualifying.
Yeah, it was a bit of a gamble. I think everybody tried different things, starting on soft, starting on medium. I was considering starting on the hard, which in hindsight may have not been a terrible shout, but then it would have been a bit slow over the 30-yard laps before the rain arriving. There's two things here. You normally get two tops of rain. You normally get, when it's just one icon of rain, like one single bit of rain, sometimes it's like really heavy for 10 minutes and you have to go into this. Other times it's like passable on the dries and you kind of can try to drive through it. But yeah, I tried a medium, I tried to go long, but as soon as I hit 75, my tyre just blew up. So yeah, I had to just box. But I gambled, it was going well. I think in hindsight, if I'd pit with Liam Parnell when he came in for the softs, could have been close to where he finished around P7, but it's the lottery, mate.
It certainly is a lottery. I mean, we saw Jarno Opmeer going long heading into his strategy. He really did take those tyres to the brink of death, really. I mean, we were anticipating punctures towards the very end. Obviously backs up your comments about a mix-up in strategy. Simon Weigand going for something totally different and taking his tyres deep into the race and finishing hard on his. And he certainly profited from that, to say the least. But you yourself made some outstanding gains as well, because you, of course, were down towards the back end heading out of Q1. But, an exquisite drive. Just talk about the drive you had yourself, because you've gained quite a few places in your fight in that race.
Yeah, it's going pretty well, actually. It was P19 on the grid after a poor qualifying, I will admit. I think it went well. I managed to get past most of the medium runners on the alt strap. The only one that was ahead of me by the end of it was Liam Parnell, who I did get right at the end. So I got past every single medium runner except for Jarno, because between battling and everything, the de-ice train broke up. So it gave Jarno a chance to get away, and we kind of just had to fall back a little bit because we couldn't keep up with the top 10 on softs. So besides Jarno, I managed to clear the medium runners. So I done my bit around P12, that would have been, But then I needed that bit of luck on the strategy to come my way, because I was banking on inters. Even on my fuel, I took a risk on fuel. I ran out on the last lap, so I had to basically, the last 4 laps I was driving at 50%, just coasting around. So yeah, I gambled in more than one way that race, but that's just that's what happens. If you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle.
Certainly don't. Absolutely, wise words were never spoken. I mean, looking at your season as well, going through it, you've had a pretty successful one, to say the least. Obviously, we'll talk about the win at Canada as well, which was obviously a featured highlight. But then, of course, you went to take P2 at Saudi Arabia, as well as some very, very good points finishes as well throughout the season. The highlight, obviously, it's going to be Canada, isn't it? But just sum up your season for us as well.
It's been great. I think 2 podiums / podium and a win. Great. Very happy. Didn't think I'd win a race. I thought I would have won a race in F2, which is where I started the season, but obviously things changed. But still, a good season. A couple of podiums. It's hard to judge, but in a weird way, I was partly more satisfied with Saudi than Canada, because it was in the dry. And, there's nowhere to hide in the dry conditions. You just have to try and make it work. And I was starting P10 on softs, which is not the best place to start. So, yeah, 2 really strong races. I think there's been some other strong ones, but just in general, I think the consistency hasn't been there, which is something I need to work on, hopefully for next season, because I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good off season, and then hopefully next year will be even better.
I think it will be indeed. I'm going to put Andy on the spot here. Andy, any questions for yourself for Tom at all?
Yeah, Tom, just in general, the first league season on the game. Obviously, traditionally there's a couple. What's your overall feelings? Because I know, Tom, you of course you've got your content creation side of things, but you always said you really want to make a real dent in the esports side of things and take on these guys and maybe go somewhere in that field. So you must be really happy. You started out in F2, and as you've just said, you expected to maybe win a race there, but you've won one in F1 now, so you must be delighted with your progress. And I just want to know, what's your plans next season? What are you hoping to do?
Who knows, mate? The options are vast and many. I don't want to commit to anything, just because there is a lot of fast drivers out there, man. I'm not even going to lie. I think a couple months ago it wasn't as packed, but gradually you're seeing people from Xbox and PS5, PS4. They're kind of gradually transitioning to PC, and PC is becoming more and more stacked by the minute. Names like Yoast, Smasher, Wilson Hughes. Now these guys, they're the future and they're really quick. So what I may have said a few months ago is rapidly not getting more complicated, but I'm realistic in the sense that there's a lot of competition out there. So who knows, mate? I think we'll see how the off season goes. Maybe I can find something pace-wise, and we'll go again next year. But no, I'm not going to go too big with the ambition. I'm just going to keep enjoying it. That's the key thing. If I enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. If I don't enjoy it, then like 7 years ago, I'll probably just call it a day and retire. So.
Yeah, but you must take encouragement though. You name all these guys coming through, the likes of Yost, of course. But even still, last week in Saudi, still able to take it on against these guys. They might all be coming through, but you're still there fighting on the podium last week. So it's still there. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping for. Maybe a bit more of that, more consistently. But I do need to work to find that kind of pace, because it's not just going to happen at a drop of a stone. I'll put my hand up. I couldn't practice for today's race. I just hopped in with no practice whatsoever. I literally come fresh off F1 2017. So yeah, I just hopped straight on. And if I can just make a bit more time for myself, that's the key thing. If I can find more time for myself, I think it should go better, because normally what you put in, you usually get out.
Okay, well, congrats, Tom, on a great season. Congrats on that win and the podium last week. Well done. Been a good season for you, mate.
Thank you very much, guys, and top work, both of you. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheers,
you,
mate.
Tom. Thank you, everybody. And obviously, folks, obviously a man who's delighted. I mean, we've got Fabrizio Donoso as well, who's going to be coming to join us now as well. And I'm pleased to have him in the box, because fresh from F1 Esports. Fabrizio, welcome to the commentary box, my friend. Congratulations, a win in your column here at Brazil. You must be delighted.
Hi George, hi everyone. Thanks for having me tonight. A pleasure to meet you again as a commentator, Gio. Yeah, well,
it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see you, Fabs. I always enjoy speaking with you, my man. And it's great to see you back at the top end again as well. You must be thrilled about Brazil.
Yeah, thank you very much. To be fair, I was looking at I think it was Josh. He launched the stream like an hour before the race, and I was like, yeah, shit, I want to drive. So I contacted the guys at WOR. Luke gave me a seat, which is very kind of him. And yeah, just had a bit of an hour to prepare, to set the rig, because it's the rig that I'm using at home. So the one I haven't touched since the prep of esports. So that was a challenge as well. But yeah, had a good quali with. I went for the race setup. I think it paid off at the end, considering I was chilling in the race. Obviously, had the help of Jeffrey, but I think even without him, I had enough of a gap every lap with the car behind to defend. So I mean, yeah, it was a good race. Didn't expect to win it, but I enjoyed the racing with everyone. It was cool.
Yeah, it was a tremendous battle, and obviously you had a fair few scraps as well with the two McLaren drivers. But was there any point that you were feeling the fear with regards to the rain coming down later on? Did you have in your mind, second guessing as to what the strategy would be?
To be fair, you can never know with this game. It could have come 30 minutes in the race, as if it could have come like we saw in the race. Literally, last lap was interconditions, so you never know what to expect. And obviously that choice was made in Q2 since I went on the soft. So yeah, I just wanted to race with everyone, to be fair, fighting for the lead. I think that's what I was looking for joining in tonight. Had a good scrap with Josh and the guys ahead. So yeah, very good race, and happy about the win.
Yeah, I bet. And obviously coming straight off the back of an F1 Esports championship, and at the same time just jumping in without even planning on racing tonight is extraordinary. But just talk to us about F1 Esports. I mean, how do you summarize your season in that championship? Because it was probably the most competitive, would you say, championship we've ever had?
I definitely say so, yeah. Easily, hands down, for me, the most skillful championship we have in sim racing right now. Not to be cocky or whatever to the other sim racing scenes. I think they're also very talented and skillful. But I think this year in eSport we really reach a level that it's gonna be hard to top for next year. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy about this season personally. I think when I had to deliver, I was able to. I had a couple of good results. I think the only The only negative that I can take into this year is the last event, where I really couldn't find my groove that I had on previous events. But nonetheless, happy about how the year went with the team, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, and obviously everyone can watch it all back as well on the Conquest series that you guys have done at Alpine
Exactly.
as well. So there's me plugging Alpine's channel for them as well. So that should put me in good books with them as well. But yeah, obviously we're looking forward to maybe it going back to a LAN situation for next year. Do you think?
I hope so, because I think that's what's really been missing these last 2 years in the series, especially in terms of. I think it's just better for overall for a series, better racing as well. I think it's just yeah, exactly. I think it's just better to be on a LAN format and be having the pleasure to see everyone as well. I think that's what we've been missing these last years.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put you on the spot again, Andy. Was there anything you wanted to ask Fabrizio as well?
Yeah, just on that topic, do you think it's just a better experience, Fabrizio, when you go to the event, whether it be in London? Of course, you were there, of course, back when it went to Abu Dhabi. Do you think there's more pressure involved? Does it feel more like a proper event when it's done on, LAN?
It's definitely way different. I think people that perform well in LAN events maybe not don't perform as well when they're at home, or vice versa. People that perform well at home don't perform on the LAN format. I think it's just a whole different vibe, and maybe for some people more pressure, but I think it's that I know that I can adapt quicker than everyone else. That's what I think deep down, and LAN events is just about adapting to the rig you get and everything. So it's mainly that the main difference, the capacity to adapt, and yeah, I hope we can return to that very soon.
Okay, well, congratulations on your win tonight, and congrats on a solid season in F1 Esports as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Well done.
Thanks.
So, Andy, that pretty much caps off yet another dramatic display here at WOR, certainly for the PC Championship. We've witnessed many great moments throughout the season, but, that grand finale certainly did leave us on the edge of our seats. I mean, any final comments for yourself?
It's just been a joy. It's been an absolute joy, League Racing, George, for us over the last season. It's been a pleasure working with you as well, George. Of course, you're moving on, which is a shame. Tears. But it's been fantastic, George. It's been a pleasure. It's been great to see all those young drivers coming through, making a name for themselves. And we've had so many good races, so much unpredictability, so closely competitive, and it's just been a joy. And I hope everyone that's tuning in has a really good break, has a really nice Christmas and New Year, and yeah, we'll see you again next year. It's been epic.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody in the audience tonight. We actually hit a peak of 273 live viewers who came to join us for the grand finale, which was absolutely amazing. So I'd like to thank each and every single one of you. Obviously now we're going to take a Christmas break here at WOR, and there will be more racing back in the new year, of course. So yeah, I hope each of you and everybody has a Merry Christmas, of course. And just a few comments from me as well. Naturally, a lot of you might have seen that, yes, this is my final commentary with WOR, at least for now. I'm actually going to be taking some time away from League Racing, at least for a little bit. Obviously not closing the door on it, that would be silly. I mean, I do like to stay in touch with League Racing, that's for sure, but obviously there's a lot of changes happening, and certainly things have happened in my life lately, which have meant that I'm going to be doing various different bits and pieces. You can obviously stay up to date with what I'm doing on social media, but at the same time, I feel that after these 3 years of me shouting in a microphone to you guys in a League Racing format, I just want to thank each and every single one of you for all your amazing support. The love and respect I've had throughout the 3 years has been absolutely amazing. I could not believe what we've achieved in such a short space of time, and I mean, the work we've done with Premier Sim Gaming Leagues has been extraordinary. What we've done with WOR and World Online Racing has been extraordinary. League Racing as a community has grown, expanded, and has been taken more and more seriously now. And I feel like I've left League Racing in a better place than where I started in, which is something I'm quite pleased about. And I think everyone has a right to say they've contributed to it. The likes of the admin team at WOR have done a sterling job in making that happen, as well as the commentators like Andy and various other people as well, like Dan Field as well, who are going to be stepping into my shoes after I'm gone. And it really does warm my heart to see everyone who is so invested and involved in league racing to this day. We've made something special, folks, and each and every single one of you are a credit to each and every single, well, one of you. And we hope this long may continue and that we'll see more great battles, more great championship fights in the future, and new stars coming to the forefront of league racing and esports. But for the final time, folks, it's me, George Morgan, signing off. Don't forget, you can check out WOR here on YouTube. Please be sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Check them out on Twitter at WOR League. You can also check me out on Twitter as well, at George Morgan TV, and not forgetting Ginger Andy's as well, at Ginger Andy F1. You can see him pointing down below, folks. But without any further ado, I'd like to thank you for all your love and support of this channel, love and support for WOR, love and support for league racing. I'll see you again very, very soon. But until then, goodbye.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, Andy.
Your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship! What a season! Absolutely phenomenal!